gentlemen, it is. As I pause that, don't exit it, Adam. Don't do that to yourself. It's Thursday, July the 2nd, 2020, 2020. Got another great show lined up for you today, as always. Hope you are all doing well. You are safe and happy and healthy and continuing to wear a mask and wash your hands like a sane individual. Got lots of stuff to talk to you about today, including Jeff's hair. Which just keeps going up. I think you may still be auto-tuned.
Yay.
Yeah, you are.
All right, there we go.
It's Technical Alpha Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Black, how you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah?
Chilling.
Another good day of RP in the books.
Another day in.
No crazy storylines happening right now? Has it just been kind of like a daily whatever, or is anything crazy happening lately?
Nothing too crazy.
No?
Same old.
Same old. We're back to the same old same. So the whole week, same old same?
We're back to the same old same. I went and looked at a property this morning, and the place was an absolute shithole. It was bad.
So you bought it?
It was no. No, we actually didn't even look at the rest of it.
You just saw it and went, no, I'm going to pass on this.
There was 2 units, one at the top, one at the bottom. We knocked on the bottom. Nobody answered. So we went to the top first. We knocked. Nobody answered. Called the seller's agent. They must have called them. They woke up. They were hungover from Canada Day. We go in there. The place was an absolute shithole. Like the floors were sunken. In the bathroom, there was black mold all on the ceiling. It was just bad.
Black mold bad. Even. Hot damn.
Yeah, we were like, I'm out.
Good God. Yeah, no, that sounds like flipper bait is what it sounds like to me. You know, like the kind of property that like somebody's not flipped very many houses before. They look at it and they convince themselves that they can be the one to flip the property and make it work.
I'm not the one.
No.
It's a no for me, dog.
Sounds like nobody's the one, if I'm going to be honest with you. That sounds like a complete tear down and just sell the property for what the property's worth.
Every wall had crayon markers all over it from the kids that were living there. The dishwasher was flipped around like backwards because it must have been broken. The cupboards were broken. The front and back patios need to be replaced. The entire roof needed to be replaced. It needed rewiring for all the electrical. The place was absolutely just run down, ran by a slumlord for sure. And there was a car on bricks out in the front.
Oh, my Lord.
In the backyard, the grass went up to my waist, except for one little area where they had like a little tiny fire pit, and there was about 40, 50 beer cans chilling around the fire pit. Garbage all over the place, kids' toys all over the place in the back and front yard. It was like, no.
That's a 5-alarm fire.
It was bad.
Maybe even 6.
It was 6.
It's a 6.
It was
a 6-alarm fire.
It was sick.
Yeah. My week was basically the same as well. Got the review up finally for Eternal Edge Plus. That went up on the website yesterday, and got that out of the way. So now it's on to whatever the hell is next. I don't think there's any major releases happening until Ghost of Tsushima in like a couple of weeks, so I've got some downtime. I can fill it with whatever. I've been talking about Need for Speed Heat as a possibility, but we'll see. It'd be nice to have a little racing game in between, because all the games are the same right now. You can mix it up. You know, you're playing 50 Shades of first-person shooter or 50 Shades of action-adventure. That's what you're getting right now. So, racing game might be nice to break it up. But that played another game of War Council branded Memopoly last night.
I saw you won again.
I won again. Bro.
Can't be stopped until I show up, and then it's over.
I keep saying every game, I'm like, because at some point it's going to happen. And so
I feel like you're playing against people that don't really understand the full concept of how to really win Monopoly.
Well,
because to win that many games in a row, I mean,
there is definitely something to be said about the people, but here's the thing, all right, is that there's a couple things. One, I have described almost my entire Monopoly strategy multiple times to the people that I play against. I barely have any secrets left. There's only a handful that I've held on to. I've pretty much described it in full. People in chat started asking me what the fuck I do. I'm like, it's not actually that special, and I describe it to them. The craziest thing about yesterday's win was that 4 of the 5 opponents that I had, 6-man Monopoly, 2 of them, before the game started, in private, talked about colluding to take me down. Another 2, after that came out at the end of the game when I'd already won, pretty much, another 2 came out and said they had in private talked about colluding to take me down. So 4 out of my 5 opponents were individually fucking colluding to try and take me down.
Couldn't do it.
And you know what? I had 3/4 of the motherfucking board with hotels, and I walked away with $6 grand of just about in cash. Fucked them all up. Fucked them all up. That's after we're straight up. We straight up. I have to change the rules because one of the things that I won't say who, but they're in chat right now. But I won't call them out. But he has this thing I like to call the dollar menu. Okay? And when this person is right about to get knocked the fuck out because he's shit at Monopoly, what he does is he goes to somebody on the board that looks like they have a pretty good chance of taking me out. And he says, hey, I'll give you all my shit for $1.
Oh.
And then he inevitably lands on my properties that I would have taken all of his shit like 3 or 4 rolls in the future. Doesn't go to me anymore. I don't get nothing. The dollar menu. It's a new rule. It's done. No more of that shit. Because last night, I almost got in trouble because of the dollar menu came out. And I didn't have the best properties on the map, but I played it so that I controlled how long it took before the reds became a threat. And it was so late into the game that it minimized it and it didn't take me out. But the shit was fucking crazy, bro. I'm telling you. Eventually it's gonna happen. I think I'm 9 or 10 wins deep. 6-man Monopoly wins. It's gonna happen eventually. We switch it up. We have we have 2 or 3 that are basically there every time. And then we have 1 or 2 people that are rotated in and out. And it's been wild. It's gonna happen eventually. And I think what's gonna happen, it's gonna be one of those things where I lose once. And then it's just going to be, it's going to take me forever to get back up into the win again. It's going to get into my head. You know, it's like a fighter that loses once after going on a winning streak and then they never get back and they retire. That's going to be me.
Okay.
But that's my week, basically. Between that, dude, I took 5 minutes to help Daddy's rebuilding the front porch in like 700-degree weather. That's been about it. I mean, there's nothing else special going on. But we do have lots of stuff that we can talk about in the gaming world this week. Mr. Black. And I'm going to do this one right off the rip. It's sad news. It is not happy news. It is terrible news that was apparently now confirmed by both his ex-girlfriend and his roommate that Wreckful has taken his life, I believe, either last night or today. The streamer, the prolific Warcraft champion and Hearthstone player, amongst many other things. Byron apparently took his life here either today or yesterday. And I only don't know when, because sometimes when the reports come out, sometimes it's, it happened the day before or whatever, but it's happened here just very recently. And so, very sad. And I like reading some of the other, major streamers that that knew him. And even I never knew the guy personally, but I had seen a lot of his content. And more recently, he had been on, or he had done a video with, it was the psychologist or psychiatrist. I don't know if you saw that video. This was I want to say it was a couple months ago now, whereby he basically went through almost a whole session with this guy in live environment. And Wreckful was in a rough headspace, and apparently for quite a long time. And you get to see that in that video. And a lot of people were that were coming out, like I was saying, uh, said that they were kind of fearful of this becoming a possibility because they knew how much of a rough headspace he was in at the time. And apparently, as well, I didn't see the tweets yet, but there were some tweets in the last, I don't know, a couple days perhaps or something that were people were getting concerned about it, and then apparently it eventually led to this. So that's super fresh news in terms of it happening. All the best to his family, obviously, and friends. And this is what, the second high profile content creator in the last calendar year that I can think of off the top of my head, anyway, that I've heard about. There's could have been more, but the last guy, Etika, was that his name?
Yeah, Etika. I think he was primarily a YouTuber,
Yeah,
although
I
I
think it
think
was
he did stream once in a
it
while.
was a
But
YouTuber, I think, but like content creator space,
yeah,
whatever. And so yeah, I mean it's in. I guess the reality, the way, as soon as I saw it, and having seen him do that thing with Dr. K, I think his name is, and then and having gone to his streams a couple times, just seen 2020 is a shit year for somebody who's in a good headspace. Like, I've had panic attacks or anxiety attacks some mornings, and I'm in a pretty good headspace. I'm not in an amazing headspace, but I'm in a pretty good headspace. For somebody who was already having a hard time, this year is not good for somebody who's already having a difficult time mentally working themselves through the average day. So I don't know how much more we are going to learn about that situation as it stands, but yeah, he unfortunately took his life. Yes, that is another thing of note, is that apparently his brother also took his life. I can't remember how long, but I think he talked about that during his time with Dr. K as well. And so his parents are nobody wants to outlive their children, especially if it's suicide. So I mean, that's just a yeah, that's it's a rough time. It's a rough time. And as always, if you are in if you're in a bad headspace, I mean, I don't have the number available. Some of you guys post it in chat and stuff, but the hotline for suicide prevention or talking to somebody, there are many different places that you can go talk to somebody, for God's sake. It's probably for a lot of people, I know for guys specifically, it seems to be a hard thing to do, to talk to other people when you're having a mentally hard time, because it's just like there are expectations for women, there are expectations for men, and many of those expectations are not healthy or realistic, and they result in very much equally, if not more so, negative circumstances arising out of it. And one of those things is men just not talking about the fact that they're not okay mentally or otherwise. And so definitely talk to somebody, call somebody, talk to a professional, because it's often not really possible to work through that shit on your own. You tend to make it worse. One's ability to drill down on and perpetually think about negative stuff in your own head, even when you're trying to work something through positively, is there's a reason why professionals exist to help you talk through these things. Is because individually people don't often have the capacity to do it in a healthy manner. And so definitely go ahead and do that. But yeah, fucking hell.
yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I don't have too much to say about Reckful because I didn't know him very well.
Yeah.
But I do, he's been around since I can remember. He's one of the OGs.
Yeah.
Um, big influencer within the streaming world and just content creation world. Um, Tons of people know him. Tons of people. I'm seeing it on Twitter. He meant a lot to the community, whether he knew that or not. He was loved for sure. And it's once again another sad day. Um, Not only just in general, but it feels like the gaming world right now is just taking a beating. It's one thing after another, and Adam is right. Like, you should, if you're struggling, you should call and or speak to a friend, loved one. And I'll tell you, just from my own personal experiences, I've gone to therapy for years. Is actually the last time I went was January. So I was going once a week. And from January probably to the first week of February. Obviously I haven't been going because of this whole Corona stuff, and I've been feeling pretty good. But yeah, I've done it for years. There were times where it was just I was going once a week, and then there were times where I was going twice a week. Um, and there are multiple avenues. If you don't have money, there are free hotlines to call. Um, some of the stuff that I've gone to, I had to pay for, or I've had like medical benefits that would like cover a certain amount. Um, but if you don't have money, it's okay because there's plenty of places that you can go that is free of charge, and you're not a pain to anybody. They're there to help. That's what they want to do, and you're worth it, straight up. And I can tell you from without getting too deep, there was a time where I was in a really bad headspace too, a couple years ago, like awful. And I had people come to me, and yeah, I talked to my wife, I talked to my family, but it just wasn't enough. Like I needed
Sometimes
to
you
talk to somebody.
needed somebody who was impartial, somebody who's like a
Exactly.
third party who doesn't have direct ties to you to really give you a better perspective.
Yeah, because in my mind, it was more of like, well, these people that love me are like, they're going to tell me what I want to hear. And I don't know if it's necessarily they're not willing to give me like the hard truth or whatever. So it was like, I had to go and seek a professional. I did. And it helped a lot. Um, it's worth it. Doesn't make you any less manly. Uh, there's nothing wrong with it. In fact, it does a lot to your character. And I can tell you, this is before Kai showed up and everything else. And now that Kai's here, it's like, you know, it's is life is too precious, no matter how hard it is in the moment or in the moments. It does get better, and it's absolutely worth it. You're worth it. So go out there, talk to a friend, talk to a loved one. And if that's not doing it, seek professional help and talk to somebody. Uh, just go. Yeah, that's all I have to say about it, because it's you can be in a really dark place and it seems like the whole world is closing in and there's no way out, but there always is. Always. It should never have to go to the point where you want to, or you have thoughts, or you want to take your own life. It's just um, no. So just go and call. That's all I have to say. As for Reckful, condolences to family and friends, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that are watching the stream that watch this content, um, or know of him or seen him in content. So condolences to everybody, and it's a sad day for the streaming world.
Indeed, indeed. There's really no way to segue from something like that into something else. So you'll forgive us if it seems like we've just bounced right into something else without much without much consideration for what we just talked about. But there's just no good way of transitioning into something like that. Obviously, outside of the continuing list of abuse cases and stuff that have been coming out, and it continue, and like I said, it continues to happen. I mean, the list keeps going and going and going. Now it's getting deep into the fighting game community, apparently, in the last couple of days. The list grows. In the midst of all of that, Dr. Disrespect's channel just up and got deleted. Just completely shut down.
Yep.
Not in a you know, in a very definitive way. I mean, and just gone. The page is just not there. So, the crazy thing is, this news is almost a week old now. At this point, I think it happened like last Friday.
Yeah.
So, and in that time, there has been very little development about that situation whatsoever. In fact, the only thing that the only public statement the doc said, and this was days after it happened too, which is also telling, but he came out and said that he was not informed by Twitch in any capacity that it was going to happen, or nor in after the fact why it happened in the first place. So, it's so first of all, the things that make this most intriguing are, one, assuming that Doc wasn't told anything yet, kind of narrows down what could have happened that Twitch would do that. Part two to that is that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they refunded the current subscribers to Doc.
Yep.
I didn't look. I was like I had a sub running on his channel, but so they refunded that. And correct me if I'm wrong, that's never happened before to a banned channel that I'm aware of. That's also telling. That's like so what that tells me, just from the sub refunding thing, is that Twitch is not only trying to cut ties as fast as possible with the doc, they want to be separated from him financially. They don't even want to show that they were allowing people to monetize through him on their platform because of this refund. Which again kind of narrows it down to like what could possibly have resulted in this happening. There are loads of theories floating around, and I mean, everyone has been theorizing. You've been seeing major streamers on Twitter. Everyone's wondering what the fuck is going on. It's very strange that Twitch would do this to Doc. They just signed Doc for Lord knows how much money, and like not that long ago. And so for this to be so complete so quick, I Bro, I don't know. What do you? I want to know. What are your thoughts on this? On this? Because I have lots of thoughts. But what are your thoughts on this situation, Mr. Black?
Now I don't know any insider information. So
neither of us do.
This is all speculation.
Can I say one more thing before you start? You know, probably one of the dumbest and most shitty things I've seen so far in the last week. How many people are coming out and saying, "I know what it is. I just can't say anything about it." The amount of fucking social media clout chasing, when I promise you they probably know dick, is just, if you know anything, people would be running their mouth like crazy, with the exception of they'd be afraid that their whole life would come to a fucking end legally if they said anything. But these people talking, they don't have an NDA they're under. They're just saying they know some shit so they can get some social media clout and chase that bitch before the news comes out. But anyway, yeah, go ahead.
So my theory is, first off, I don't believe for a minute that Doc doesn't know why he's not banned. So I'm just going to throw that out there.
Neither do I.
He knows. Whether Twitch told him or they didn't tell him, he knows. Now, the reason why I think that way, there's two reasons. The first is he is a multi-million-dollar signed on streamer through Twitch, which means they aren't going to just, and his legal team, is not going to allow Twitch to just end contracts, delete his channel, and say nothing to him in the process and leave him in the dark. There is a 0% chance.
I'd be more inclined to believe he knew nothing if he made a comment immediately. But the fact that he waited, that there was days, tells you that he is
his lawyers.
His lawyers said you can
said,
say this.
Yeah, exactly. His lawyers are saying, "Hey, we're gonna." My theory is it's very serious. I don't know what it is. So like, there's rumors that he was reaching out to Shroud and Ninja and creating their own streaming service, and he's trying to get other streamers to like jump on board of this, and Twitch found wind and blah blah blah. That story is just about as relevant as Spotify starting up a streaming service and was trying to pouch a Doc, and there's a reason why Ninja and Shroud didn't want to re-sign with Facebook, because they knew that this thing was going to go down, and it's just too much of a convenience and a perfect storm. What I think is something happened behind the scenes, something very serious, or Twitch found out about something very serious, and they just axed everything before they got caught protecting somebody about something, as in like, hey, you signed this streamer and this person has done this. What that is, I have no clue. But I do know that there is a very, 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 very small chance he has no idea. And not only that, if Twitch didn't tell him, he fucking knows. Personally, he knows. You just don't one day have your channel removed.
There's nothing something so massive that would have his channel removed that he wouldn't already know about, or have pretty good guess.
Yeah, shit they found out about this, right? Yeah. It's kind of like, if you were a fucking drug lord and you and I'm not saying he is, but I'm making an analogy here.
Yeah.
You say you're a drug lord and you're chilling on the beaches of Mexico and or the Bahamas or wherever the hell you're chilling, wherever fucking they do when they go and get loaded and they just go to an island somewhere, and then all of a sudden a helicopter comes in and FBI agents come and take you and you're gone, and they're not telling you why. I think you got a pretty good idea why you're probably getting fucked right now. Oh, maybe it's because you're a drug lord, so my guess is, if they didn't tell him, they told his lawyers, and his lawyers told Doc, and that's just the show. I also believe that the reason why he's not saying anything, Twitch isn't saying anything, is because whatever Twitch has on him, they probably got to make sure for certain that they have him dead to rights before they break the contract, because Doc would sue them, not only for hurting his reputation and his brand and smearing his brand, but also halting everything that he's done and the agreement that they had. So the only thing that I can think of is Doc broke the contract in some way, shape, or form. That could be as small as, I don't know. It could be as small as, I don't know, to as large as, I don't know. But my guess is it had to have been something pretty big. Something as big as him starting his own streaming service or going behind their back and trying to convince people to jump ship all at the same time and do something sneaky behind closed doors, because it would make sense, because Twitch wouldn't want that to get out. They want to they have every right to protect their streamers. But once again, this is all speculation. The other thing is, another reason why I think Doc knows is because 8 minutes before his last stream ended, I don't know if you watched this video.
I watched the last 8 minutes, yeah.
But, I mean, he's just chilling, doing his thing. Next thing you know he gets a text message, it looked like. He reads it, and his whole fucking, it looks like...
He breaks character for about 45 seconds to a minute after that, and then dumps back into character for the rest of it.
Yeah, and you can see just almost the color of his skin, everything, just it's that gut-sinking news. He knows something is up. He snaps out of it. Then he's watching a video, and he is just zoned in and thinking about whatever. It looked like his wife came into the room and he's like, no, I need a minute. Like, no, not yet. I know. And then at the end is the craziest part. Starts talking about something about a guy that was all about these conspiracy theories. And then he said, guys, we're going to get through this together. It's a weird time. And he's emotionally broken up about it. He's, it's a crazy story because it's like it's all shrouded in mystery. But he 100% knows what's going on. If he would have just got the news, hey, on the text, your channel's going down, he would have been his reaction would have been like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And it wouldn't have been like a deadpan, oh my God, shit is about to get real, and then say what he said. So I think he knows. I'm almost certain he would know. If he doesn't, that is insanity to the bajillionth degree. And yeah, that's whatever it is. Everybody's lawyered up and it's very quiet. And that is impressive in itself in a day and age where everything comes out. So the fact that everybody, not only Twitch management, journalists, people on the inside, Doc himself, everybody is super quiet. There's a legal fight happening right now. And until that legal battle is done, or at least there's a definitive branch on where it's going, nobody's going to know anything. But eventually, it's going to come out. 100%, it's going to come out.
Yeah, I agree. So, yeah, I mean, short of almost it was brought to my attention because this is a U.S. specific thing, but it was brought to my attention that while it is a small possibility, and I'm close to where you are in terms of a business deal that was counter to his current contract with Twitch. The other side of it is that if the feds were involved in whatever is going on, then they are capable of gagging Twitch and Doc until the because it's an ongoing investigation and nobody says anything. So the very small chance you're talking about Doc not actually knowing what's going on would be if there's a gag order on Twitch to not tell Doc because an investigation is happening, and if Twitch saw enough evidence leading into that ahead of time that they wanted to distance themselves from Doc as far as possible before, just even if there was a chance,
yeah,
that would be it. That is a small... It could be a reality, but it's a tiny chance. I think it's a much bigger chance that it's business related, and I felt that way pretty much immediately because the list of things that the feds would be involved with in which there'd be a gag order would just be very shocking to me that he would be involved in any of that kind of situation. And so I would say that you know what? I think it is a streaming company related thing.
I don't, because, and here's the reason why I don't.
I don't think it's Spotify or something like that, but the reason why I think it's that way is because, like, Doc has jokingly talked about that kind of a thing and involved certain other major streamers in discourse with that in character for like the last year in various capacities. And if there's one thing that wouldn't shock me is that if it wasn't a streaming platform, it was something that would be enough of a competitive nature to Twitch that it'd be a conflict of interest that Twitch would then cancel the contract and send him on his way. But it has to be, if it is a business thing, the reason why I think it's that big, or even though that seems super far flung, is because I can't imagine Twitch would refund all the shit and go through like all that extra money and effort to distance themselves from him unless the business deal, whatever it was particularly counter to his contract and in competition with Twitch. I don't understand, or I couldn't think of any other business circumstance in which it would lead Twitch to do what they have done, especially the refunding of the subs to financially distance themselves from Doc.
Yeah, but I mean, I think Twitch did make an announcement, or not even an announcement, but somebody was contacted within Twitch, and I saw that their reply was, you know, he was basically removed because of terms of service.
That's a broad fucking brush for as far as Twitch is concerned, though. TOS
Yeah.
with Twitch is a fucking
Yeah.
mile-long brush.
So and this is from what I'm seeing on Twitter. So I mean, it could be true, it could be false. I'm
pretty sure I saw the same thing. I think that was a release of some kind. Yeah.
Okay, because from what I read, it was said is like, hey, you know, no matter how big or small the streamer is, you know, everybody has the certain guidelines. And
well, they mentioned that when they signed him, because people were questioning them signing him because of the things that he had done in the past, and that's they had said similar things then, where they said, just because we're signing him doesn't mean that he is not under the same rules as everyone else, and if he slips up, he's just as liable to be removed.
But I mean, when you think about it, right? Even when you break terms of service like that, does it really warrant not addressing it or telling why the person got banned in the first place? Like, when you get banned, or when people get a 24-hour ban, 7-day ban, indefinite ban, they're usually given an email and it tells you like what the rule break is.
Yes.
It kind of shows you like the part of the stream where you've done or said something or did something that you weren't supposed to do.
Yeah.
And then you're told, you know, it's 7-day, 24-hour, or permanent or whatever. The fact that they didn't say that to him, or at least that's what he's saying, it would have to be something very serious. And also on top of that, would it be against terms of service if Doc actually had a conversation with Ninja and Shroud and whoever else?
Less TOS and more probably his contract after the buyout, like Twitch buying him for the platform. I don't think it's a TOS thing at all.
Yeah.
I think it's been, and the reason why I also think it's that, and they also aren't talking about it, is that if it is something like that, Twitch is not going to want to give any more credence or platform to whatever business deal Doc might be brewing up right now by talking about that publicly and saying that was the reason why, because it might just light an even bigger fire under whatever business deal that could be to make it happen, if that makes sense, dude.
There were 2 or 3 credible sources that are usually pretty freaking bang on about stuff.
Yeah.
They said that they found out what it was. It was extremely
bad, and he was done not just on Twitch but everywhere.
He was done indefinitely, as in no more Doc on any streaming platform. It's over.
Yeah.
And to the point where they didn't even feel comfortable stepping out of line to say what it is. So if that is true, it's definitely not trying to go behind Twitch's back and poach streamers. That doesn't, I mean, that would be a shitty thing to do and a very slimy thing to do when you've done I hate to use the bad pun, but a firm handshake on a big Twitch deal just not 2 months beforehand.
That would absolutely break the contract. Look, without fucking question.
But to never stream on a platform again, and it's so bad that his career's finished? No, fuck no. In fact, there'd probably be a lot of fans that'd be like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm for this. You know, go and start your own platform and do your own thing, and try and, you know, create the next big thing. So I don't, from the credible sources that if anybody knew or had an idea, they would know. I just can't believe that would be it. And I could believe that Twitch would shut him down, but I don't think it would be as hush hush. You know, there's a lot of, and think about it, the other streamers that would quote unquote be in talks with Doc, you know, they would also be banned as well. You know what I mean? So like and when you think about it, if it's just Shroud and Ninja, if it's just those two, which I think if it was Doc, he'd be talking to a lot more than just Shroud and Ninja. You know, I don't want to name bomb people. I'm going to say those two because they're not on the platform currently.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
there are other people that
It
are
would be
close to
obvious
Doc.
who he would be talking to, I think.
Yes, and if they found out or they got leaked emails or Discord information or an insider came and spilled the beans, these other streamers would have been axed too. You know what I mean? It wouldn't just be Doc, because then you'd be just targeting one streamer, and that would have precedence for the lawyers to go, hey, you know, you singling out, you wanted him removed off the platform for whatever reason because you just didn't want to pay up or whatever. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but you know, a lot of people would be taking a very big risk, and it just doesn't seem like the go-to thing. I am more inclined to believe that it's something a lot more serious. Have no idea what it is. You know, so
well, all the signs read extraordinarily criminal in terms of how guarded the people you're talking about that I mentioned on Twitter, like Sacriel's wife, was probably the only one that I would give any credence to, personally.
Slasher said stuff.
I don't give a fuck. Dude, I gotta keep it 100. Slasher's as accurate as he is inaccurate, and Slasher says some pretty crazy shit to get him his own brand going a lot of the time. It's not to say that he may not know or whatever, but I would be less inclined to believe him than I would believe somebody else in this situation. But but it's just like you said earlier, when you're watching the last 8 minutes, the cell phone thing, the change in demeanor, everything, the way that he talked about some shit.
It's eerie.
It's the thing that like makes like that spins it even crazier is the mention of Ike or Ikey or whatever the guy's name is, the conspiracy theorist. Like there's so many like sprinkled in seasoned crazy shit about this whole situation that none of it makes sense. Like at all to me. And the thing about Twitch doing what they did is that even if it wasn't criminal, if he did breach contract, everything they've done to this point is 100% within their right, and they could do that. Yep. So just them doing it, I'm hesitant to use that as a signal that it is something super criminal and crazy.
Yeah.
Because Twitch right now, as we discussed last week, is just like the house you visited earlier today, or in this week, a 6-alarm, all hands on deck fire right now. And they can't take any fucking hits of any kind right now. And so it's almost as believable to me that it could be bad, absolutely. But I feel like Twitch is going to be pulling or not pulling, but hitting hard, fast punches on anything that they think could add to the fuel on this already nearly out of control PR disaster that they have on their hands right now. Which they still haven't said, by the way. They haven't really, in the last week, they haven't really said all that much in regards to the ongoing situation. Short of what we discussed last week, there hasn't been really, to my knowledge, any other announcement, any other discussion around it, any actionable things they're planning, like nothing to this point. So
it's wild.
It's fucking wild. There's so many curveballs all over the place, and you know, maybe we're gonna find out. Maybe we won't even fucking ever know. This could be something that we don't ever fucking know.
Oh, we'll know for sure.
Do you think somebody's gonna crack before it hits the courts? If there is unless it was, because it's possible it never hits the courts, and they could just do arbitration outside and then just settle outside of court so that it isn't public.
Yeah.
And that would benefit possibly both Doc and Twitch, depending on what the situation is.
I mean, people have tried to do some detective work, and they tried to see if he got arrested or anything like that. And apparently he was not arrested. Some people had a theory that the police or the feds were outside of his house. And the text message was from his wife saying, hey, the feds are here. And then, you know, you could hear him like sort of listening and you could hear what's going on in the house. And it was like a really weird, it was just eerie, and people were trying to decipher what was going on. But there's like no public records of an arrest or anything like that. If it was like super serious and if it was with the feds, then it would probably be under wraps. And in order for Twitch to really ban him and stuff, like they would have needed to go to him, to go to Twitch with like very, very concrete evidence before they could just flat out ban him and just basically destroy his career without his knowledge. And obviously, also there is like, innocent until proven guilty as well. So also on one end, I don't think it has anything to do with criminal. I don't know. That's the thing. I could sit here and come up with theories all the time, but at the same time, Doc seems like a good dude. It's just it's bizarre. It's
I mean,
bizarre.
I don't personally know Doc, and it's not like it's without precedent that people have been very good at hiding crazy tendencies in the past. But we're talking about a guy who already came out and told the world that he cheated on his wife, and they reconciled that shit publicly and took all the heat for that and continues to take all the heat for that. It would be no, obviously not impossible, but odd to me that there would be something far more serious than that situation for him to result in that. I just can't
Yeah.
it's you never.
I don't know, but infidelity is also not illegal. It's not a
Well, no,
you know, it's,
it's something that somebody would that people are looking at and going, if he's capable of this, then obviously you should have seen this
no.
coming. Like,
no,
but that's
fuck that, dude.
yeah.
So if there's infidelity, it doesn't mean that you're
a
a
serial
criminal
killer.
or you're a serial killer or some fucking
Yeah.
crazy criminal thing. It's just everybody has relationship problems. It's their business.
Yeah.
It's not a fun thing. It's not something that you should celebrate by any means. And really, it's none of the public's business, to be honest with you. So kudos to him to come out and man up, and maybe somebody learn something from it and not go down the same path as what he did relationship wise and made those mistakes. But that's his business. Just because someone did that doesn't mean I'm immediately going to think like, oh, he's capable of worse. Oh, if he did this, then man, I wouldn't put it past him. It's like, dude, I'm not a judge. I'm not going to judge other people. I don't know him like that. So all I can say is this: is I hope him and his family are safe and they're okay. And by the set, his wife tweeted out and said like, "Hey, thanks for all the support. We're good." So they're safe. His family's safe. And at the end of the day, that's all that really matters. Hopefully the community and his fans get answers, because, there's a lot of people that have watched him for a long time that are very attached to him and are concerned for him. So I'm sure you'll hear something at some point. But at the end of the day, I also think that people should be mindful of speculation and just throwing out rumors, because it's not fair to him. It's not fair to his family. If you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So you just can't come up and the elephant in the room is there's a lot of this Me Too stuff going on right now. There's a lot of stuff going on, and it's a weird time. It's great that all this stuff is coming out and things like that, but at the same time, just because this happens, you can't just immediately insert him or somebody else into a situation because it's a coincidence in terms of timing. It's not fair to him. It's not fair to anybody involved. So hold out with the speculation stuff. You can figure. Just don't make it seem as factual, because nobody knows the truth except for him, his family, the lawyers, and Twitch. Maybe really, really close business partners, and that's really about it. But at the end of the day, all the vile stuff, keep that out of your mouth until you figure out what the truth is.
And the court of public opinion is strong right now, and that's why if you're gonna, it's not criminal to speculate, but some people are speculating in ways that make it seem like they're accusatory speculations.
Yeah.
And that's, you got to keep that in check, because it just it has the possibility of damaging somebody further, with a very real possibility that what you're accusing them of is nothing to do with the situation. But if people don't follow the whole story and find out for themselves later, they can just take that on assume that that's the case, never think anything more of it, and then just associate that with the person that you're accusing. So wait and see. Wait and see. Next up, in more streamer meme news, flame war stuff. I don't know if you saw this Twitter thread, Jeff, but it is a beauty. I thought I had linked it, but I didn't. It's on the Discord. You saw it?
I've read the
It's
the
a
thread.
fuck.
I already know which one you're talking about.
It's a fucking beauty, this one. So, XQC, who, if I'm going to be honest, is not my favorite person on the platform, but he's definitely toned it down significantly in the last while. Oh, he's almost an adult at this point. Ninja and then Ninja's wife Jessica, amongst others, got into a hell of a Twitter fight over what appears to be nothing, given the fact that the original discussion that was happening was between XQC and Dr. Lupo. They had, like, 2 hours previously already wrapped up the conversation. It was short, wasn't even long. They were like, everyone was something good, walked away, and then, like, 2 hours plus later, I think it was Ninja's wife, Jessica, came in to just, like, start shit. I don't understand I still don't understand what the purpose was of the like necroing a Twitter thread that old that never involved Ninja or anyone else at the time. So the conversation was about Dr. Lupo was just basically talking about how some streamers or content creators, YouTube or otherwise, get paid to do charity events by charities. Jeff and I have gotten paid to do charity events in the past, for example. It's not uncommon. You just tell people when you're doing charity event, like any other event you're getting paid, you tell people, like, hey, we got some money to do this.
Sponsored.
And then you get a sponsored event.
Yeah.
That's just kind of the way it fucking goes. And it's not a secret in the industry or anything like that. That's how it is. It's like you see any other sponsored events, all the same thing, with the idea is that the sponsored or the sponsored amount, you bring in somebody with a big platform, and then the money raised far outweighs the sponsorship pay, and then as a company, a not-for-profit has to remain, well, it's in the name, they have to remain not-for-profit, and so there is a marketing budget that is spent, and part of that marketing budget often is what is a portion of the sponsored payment. So they were talking about that. Dr. Lupo was talking about how not everyone does that, and in his opinion, more reputable, I think it was more reputable charities don't necessarily do that. And then he wanted to clarify for himself personally that he had never taken any money to do, I think it's St. Jude is his big one, right? Mm-hmm. That's the way, so he never did that. And then XQC was coming in to discuss that with him about how, maybe it was XQC saying that it's more reputable charities that are higher up on that charity index, that are less likely to be involved in that kind of stuff or whatever. They had a little back and forth. Done. It wasn't, and when I say back and forth, I don't mean an argument. I mean, they literally just talked about that subject on Twitter in a little thing. Done and dusted. 2 hours later, Ninja's wife, I think it was the first one to necro that thread, if I'm not mistaken. And I wish I still had it up on the side. In fact, just give me like 1 second here. I'm just gonna do that. I have to pull it up out of my Discord here. Oh, there it is. Put that there, and then I will put that over here so that we have it. And then get you back up here. Bob's your uncle, and then we're back here. We're back. So, cause I want to get this right. I don't want to be fucking it up. So yeah, Dr. Lupo and XQC have their little conversation. And it ended on XQC saying, Dr. Lupo said, "Gotcha, all I saw was the clip, so that's on me for not watching what was before and after." And then that was the end of XQC and Dr. Lupo's exchange. Insert SpongeBob SquarePants 2 hours later. It was Ninja's wife, Jessica, shows up in the thread and says, "This guy always has some trash to say," with their eye rolly emoji. "I've literally never heard of a single streamer getting paid to raise money, and per FTC rules, if they were, it would be easily known to the public. Keep doing amazing things." Now I gotta be fucking real here for a second, Jeff. I gotta keep it 100. That is some of the most classic passive-aggressive shit I've ever seen. That was a statement that, for one, while it might be true as far as she knows, like her own personal thing, 3.5 seconds of research would have shown to her that streamers and content creators get offered, as I just described, sponsored deals to do charity streams as a way to magnify the fundraising all the fucking time, constantly. You don't have to be a big streamer. You could be a small streamer. You could be a small YouTuber. Doesn't matter. It's part of the marketing budget for a not-for-profit, which again, they have to come in at not-for-fucking-profit, so there's a marketing budget. That's the money that streamers are getting paid. It's not that content creators are going... It's not like we went to World Vision and say, "Hey, we'll do this, but..." and put that in. They come to us and say, "We've got this budget," and then Jeff has done the wheeling and dealing. Jeff actually talked them down once or twice because they wanted to offer too much money. And we're like, we literally cannot take...
Well, it's either that or we would also just donate
the money, yeah,
rate.
like we'd
be on stream, be like, "Hey, you know what?"
Which we have. We gave like of one time, I think my cut was like was something like $2,000 or something, and then I think we matched some people and it was like $500 or whatever thing. Like it doesn't like anyway. It is an unbelievably passive aggressive and useless thing for her to come on and start this shit. And of course, whether she obviously knows who XQC is. XQC is has always continued to be pretty critical of Ninja, whether he's right about it or wrong about it. So she has to know that if she says this shit, that it's gonna rile XQC up. Because it's some classic, and it's gonna sound sexist, this is a woman fucking thing to do. No, very few men, I won't say no men, very few men come in passive aggressive like this. You're gonna see what the average male response is, which is just to directly call shit out. It's point A to point B. There's no A, B through Z, and then come back to B. There's a reason why men will like fist fight it out and be done with it, and women will hold a grudge for like fucking decades, is because it's constantly passive aggressive and like fucking dancing around the issue. So when she comes out and says, "This guy always has some trash to say," in a conversation that had already been wrapped up, to which the last part is Dr. Lupo literally saying, "My bad, I just didn't see it," and then that was it. Conversation was over. To come in and then dump it back into XQC, I guess in defense of Dr. Lupo, not that he needed any fucking help or defending here, and then talking out her ass towards the end of it, obviously XQC comes in. So, kind of sexist though? Fuck it, if that's sexist, that's the way it is. Guess what? Stereotypes are there for a reason. It means that there's enough people doing it that it's a safe assumption. I could tell you right now, if I brought in my Filipino girlfriend who's exercising in the next room, and I said, "Hey, what's the stereotype about Filipino women and grudges?" There's an entire act of the comedian who's Filipino, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Fuck, what's his name? I went to see him, I should probably remember this. Where he literally talk about it, and he says, his aunt and his mother have had a grudge over the most asinine shit for 30 years! This is not an unknown quantity. I don't give a fuck if it's sexist. passive-aggressive bullshit like this is more often female, and that's just all there is to it. And if you don't think that's the case, you've known 3 women in your life, and 3 of them are your mother. Jessica Belvins comes out, says that shit. XQC comes back, obviously heated. Says, this is fucking rich coming from you of all people. Incredible you found this the time to half-ass listen to the clip and give your take no one asked about in between your virtue signaling posts. Again, there's no passive aggressiveness there. He went in for the fucking jugular right off the fucking bat. And then it just devolves into bullshit. So XQC and Jessica go back and forth like a playground fucking talk for, I don't know, like 4 or 5 posts. Eventually, Ninja has to come in and say something because his wife is literally in an internet argument with XQC. And Ninja says, you have 0 clue. Oh, this is a response to XQC, who... okay, he says it. I'll just read it because it will make more sense.
Read it.
He said, okay, all right, it'll make more sense if I read it. So Jessica says, what she did, XQC says that, Jessica comes back with, ooh, I was waiting for your response, enjoy your day, QVC, which is a hilarious meme name for XQC. Hope to see you doing a fundraiser in the future since you have so much to say about them, hard heart. And XQC fires back with just as childish bullshit. Of course I was going to answer, sweetie. Which was a bold fucking thing to call her, to be honest with you. I was eating breakfast. That is sexist, by the way, not what I just said, but that was sexist. I was eating breakfast, fueling up for a productive day. Not very relatable, I know. You should teach me a thing or two about fundraisers. I'm sure you know a thing or two about raising funds. I mean, these Gucci bags don't pay for themselves.
Oh, man.
So shit...
He's going in, bro.
The shit went deep. He didn't need to say the sweetie. It was already deep enough, but he added the sweetie, and that was all the avenue that they needed to now come in.
Yeah.
And just now it's fucking rough. So so now Ninja comes in because now he said sweetie, and now Ninja's got to come in.
I mean, I'd have to jump in too.
Absolutely, everyone would.
If that was my wife,
yes,
and somebody's saying that sort of shit, calling her sweetie.
Now you have to.
Yeah, now you're gonna hear from hubby.
Even if she's fucking up, you still have to come in and say some shit.
As the husband, you got to back your woman up. You just got to do it. But behind closed doors, you got to tell your wife or the husband, bro, you need to chill the fuck out. All right, you need to stop poking your nose in other people's business when you have nothing to do with the conversation. You just need to know your role.
I got to be honest with you. You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of like being out with You've probably at least known 1 or 2 people have been in this situation where the girlfriend starts a fight, and the guys have to fight it out.
Yeah,
the 2 girls go, "My man gonna kick your man's ass," and you're really? Like, "Fucking, what are you saying? I'm eating a hamburger. I don't want to be involved in this. Why'd you have to open your mouth? You couldn't just let her walk by. Why'd you have to make a shitty comment about her fucking pink shoes? Just leave that shit alone. Now I gotta fight a man."
Hey. By the way, he's 6'5", 255 pounds, and he's black. What the fuck?
What are you doing that to me for?
I love you, girl, but I ain't about to die for you. Like, come on, man. Like, just chill the hell out. Yo, I'm sorry. Yo, brother, I'm sorry. Hey, I'm sorry. She been drinking. All right, she been drinking. I'm sorry. All right, I'm gonna let her know what's going on. I don't want no trouble. Nothing like that. All right.
This is the Twitter argument version of exactly that. Your wife has started some shit. She's mostly wrong. You know it, but you have to come in and publicly defend her and then in private you go, "Honey, you're beaten and bloody and fucked up from the 250-pound, 6'5" black man." You go, "Honey, I can't stop running your mouth."
I really showed him.
Yo, Adrian! It's pretty good. Your face looking like fucking minced meat. So anyway, here comes Ninja to the rescue. He said, "Of course." He said, "You have 0 clue about the amount of work Jess does for our family and our business. And when she wants to buy a Gucci bag, she fucking can, because she worked for it. We have donated millions to charity and raised hundreds of thousands of dollars. Stop being a piece of shit. So he came in and he said some words. He did his thing. And now XQC is fighting two fronts. I guess XQC doesn't have a wife to make this a fatal four-way. That would have been legendary. Unfortunately, we just have XQC by himself here. He responds with, I know you have. I have a lot of respect for that. If Jessica wants to speak out of her ass, I can definitely do the same. Except only one of us is being honest about it. Unfortunately for Ninja, as much of a dick as XQC is, his statement there was not wrong. And Ninja would know that, but he has to still continue to fight the fight. He's just taken a right hook from a 250-pound linebacker. He's on the ground, and he's got to get back up because the wife is still going, don't you dare lay down! And now you got to get back into it.
You got him, honey.
You got
I know you weren't paying fucking Henzo Gracie all those private training lessons for nothing. Go out there and shove.
Go for the balls! So.
Put him in Ezekiel choke.
APL. I don't even know who the fuck APL. Do we know who APL is?
I don't know.
I don't know what APL, but that's what they're listed. Jessica pulls up to a civil convo with an obvious dig at XQC, then drops information that is demonstrably false as a nobody streamer. Even I got offers that paid for charity streams often. Then wants none of the smoke when she gets called out. Classic. This is why we stand XQC. Then Ninja comes to APL, whoever APL is. I don't know who APL is. Fuck if I know. Ninja says, literally everything in her tweet was the truth. Which I guess is insofar as her saying that she personally has never heard of anything, which I guess, like I said before, that could be true. The reality is different, but for her, it could be true. XQC talks trash all the time to everyone, especially me, and she personally has never heard of anyone being offered money to do charity streams. Then states if would have to be, or it would had to be shared if it were per FTC regulations. So Ninja's doing, that was his, Ninja came up and he's got his guard up now because he said, all right, I need to read my wife's tweet again and remind myself what she said, and then I need to be technically right when I say this next tweet. So technically, yes, she didn't personally know, and technically, yes, the FTC recently required it to happen, so I'm safe to say that shit, so let's go with it. We're throwing the guard up. Ninja comes out to help him, giving him an athletic slap on the ass before telling him to go get him, honey. Said, X, it's very clear you don't respect women. I don't know how we got to this point, but probably the sweetie part would be the one that he opened himself up for that shit. Or really anyone with, again, the trash I've heard you spew. If you want to be sexist and act like I'm married to a successful man that makes me a do-nothing mooching woman, that's your choice to be that kind of person, and I'm not your sweetie. Put that period on the end there. Then, for whatever fucking reason, Ninja's brother shows up in the conversation. We've got the Voltron of the Ninja family coming together to fight this on every front possible. It's all hands on deck, Jeff.
This is getting crazy.
I'm waiting for Ninja's mom to show up to the conversation. Ninja's brother, who's literally listed in this Reddit thread as Ninja's brother. Bro, easy on the sexism. It's 2020. Calling women sweetie and refusing to admit that they work is not the best move morally or for whatever you do as a job. Okay, now, not to defend XQC here, but as we said, we both agreed, the sweetie thing was a bad idea. That shit opened him up for all of what's happening right now. He left his guard down long enough to take a few hits on that one. But the odds that Jessica is doing more than pretty much any 9-to-5 desk worker for Ninja, which is more or less, if I had to take a stab at it, just like anyone who makes enough money when they're self-employed to take on, whether it's a woman, whether it's the wife or the husband in the situation, making the money, they put on the other person as an employee for tax benefits. It happens all the time. My fucking dad did it with mom running a woodworking business after he retired from the government. Everyone does that shit. How much work did mom do? She did the accounting. Which, how much work is that? Some. I highly doubt that Jessica is wheeling and dealing for like 12, 14 hours a day to get Ninja major deals. Because ultimately, if I had to take a stab at it, Ninja's the one saying yay or nay, and he's going to take her opinion on it because it's his wife. But I think XQC's calling out Jessica and Ninja a bit in terms of just how much involvement, and it's true, I don't fucking know, and XQC doesn't really know, but the odds of her being the one in the room doing deals for everything, and then Ninja just putting everything on her, probably slim. But the Sweetie thing, that was a terrible life choice, because now he's taking heat for it. So, then, for whatever reason, Trainwreck shows up to the conversation. Player 5 has entered the game at this point, I think we're at. Only Destiny and Slasher can pull to this card, nice try. I think he's referencing Jessica's pulling the sexism card on that one. Jessica comes back. You don't respect him when you continue. I think she's talking to XQC at this point. It's hard to keep track of who she's talking to because it's like fucking 15 people in this conversation. You don't respect him when you continuously talk trash about him on your stream. Second, I said you talk trash, true statement, and felt it important to let people know I've never heard of someone being paid. The attacks and anger are coming from you. That whole paragraph is complete nonsense. From pretty much top to bottom. Yes, XQC shits on and talks about Ninja all day. That's whatever. At no point in his conversation with Dr. Lupo was Ninja's name uttered once, or Jessica's, or anything of that nature. Completely, she's almost exactly admitting that she came in to let people know that she thought it was important to let people know that he's a shit talker, and that she personally had never heard about it. It was apparently important to her to say that she's never heard of people getting paid, mostly because she wanted to make XQC look bad in that conversation with Lupo, when any amount of research would have shown immediately that that's incorrect, categorically. And so she just fucked up bad there. And now they're both, these are two people who have said stupid things in this conversation now in a slap fight, and Ninja's taking all sorts of L's for his wife right now. And then some other person comes in. What's his name? Sliker said Ninja made you, which is it's a yikes. Ninja then talking to XQC. Sliker. His name is Sliker. Ninja made you.
Who's the fucking Sliker?
I have no idea who that is, but he just came in just to stir some shit up, I guess.
Oh my god. Dude.
That's like a bar fight's happening. You didn't start the fight, but everybody else is fighting, so you just walk in and you just fucking sucker punch some random dude in the fight and bounce. And that's what Sliker did. He just came in, sucker punched, and bounced. Ninja to XQC said, dude, you need to stop. In your own words, you literally said she does nothing all day. Actually, he didn't. He was being as passive-aggressive as his wife was. And called her sweetie when she is in fact not your sweetie. That part he's totally not wrong, but that was dumb. Not to mention, she has tried to reach out privately to talk about this, yet you continue to tweet in all caps. Well, that's because if you talk about it in private, nobody can see everyone fucking up. So you might, if you're going to be dragged, you might as well do it publicly. Then, for whatever reason, Slasher comes back in, or comes in now and says, this calls for an XQC plus Adept versus Ninja plus J Ghosty, 2v2 best of 3 for charity. Sure.
Not a bad idea.
Not a bad idea. especially if you saw how much traction all these tweets were getting. The fucking world was ready for that. Then, for whatever reason, player like 19 enters the match. Here comes Alinity.
No, Alinity. She looks for it, bro. She looks
does.
for it.
She knows. She knows some
on.
publicity when she sees it.
You know when you go in there, you're gonna have every cat meme and everything else going on. It's like you look for it, and then she'll tweet out and she'll go, "Well, looks like thanks for the free promotion." You know what I mean? It's like
she knows what she's doing.
Oh my goodness.
She lives off the drama, so she comes in and says,
"She's smart, bro.
She's smart."
She's smart.
And she's got some major dirt on somebody at Twitch to still be on the platform. I'm gonna be real with you. Oh, this is an easy bet, clap. Team Ninja loses easy. Then Ninja comes back and goes, this was a layup for Ninja. This is a full-blown, nobody's even at the half court yet. You're walking towards the net. Layup. And says in a response, don't you have another cat to abuse? That tweet got a lot of retweets and likes. I gotta be honest with you. That shit blew up. Something fierce.
223,000 likes and 42,000 retweets.
That was an easy. That was easy. Super easy. Motor, whoever Motor is, comes in, says, I think the vodka in your... Oh no, Lindy says... Oh, no, sorry. Slasher comes in. Oh, I'm getting way ahead of myself. I'm so sorry.
What, there's more?
Yeah, no, sorry. I'm getting way ahead of myself. Alinity fires back. You have no class. It's only a playful joke, and you have to be rude like this? Pretty shameful, dude. Ninja responds, oh, I was joking too. LOL, OMG, can't take a joke. Come on, Alinity. Haha, jeez. Slasher comes in. GG's, everyone. Alinity, Ninja is the most toxic person in gaming. Motor comes in, whoever Motor is. I think the vodka in your cat's mouth was more toxic. We got more people coming in. Ms. Kiff to Jessica. Jessica, let me start off by saying I'm a huge fan. I've been offered 2 deals in the past 30 days to do sponsors with charities for 20K plus. And I agree that XQC guy is toxic, but he's 1,000% right. Friends I know didn't need to put hashtag ad in the title, but recently the FTC changed it. Moxie to Jessica. You can't have a mature conversation if you can't even handle trash talk after starting it with some snarky ass shit and resorting to a high-roading stance and inferring he's sexist after getting mollywopped live on the feed. Then Ammunition enters the fucking fight and sums it up with a meme, and she posts a meme of let me see this. It's basically two girls fighting poorly. In the background is a dude hitting a fucking bong, which is, it says Team XQC fighting Team Ninja. The rest of Twitter is the guy in the background hitting the bong, and then on the side is the classic, like, small black boy holding his stomach looking at the camera and then looking away where it goes, Lupo, who just wanted people to know his charity is legit. Standing off to the side. Even Ammunition getting in on this. Alright, so... Oh, I fucking closed that shit. Hold on. So. Where was I here? Alinity. Ammunition. There we go. APL comes back. Finds an old hashtag ad charity tweet by Ninja. Never heard of it, huh? The receipts! Hashtag ad charity stream by Ninja.
Off to PGI to participate in the PGI Charity Showdown. Pumped. Streaming from Germany on Friday. PUBG. Hashtag PGI 2018. Hashtag ad.
I don't want to say anything, but if Jessica was doing a lot of work, she probably would have known about that. So, in a follow-up to that,
by the way, guys, let me just say, if you are paid to fly somewhere for a charity stream, or you're a special guest paid to go to a place and they're putting you up so that they can have more eyes on their charity because they have a marketing budget.
You know what that's called, Jeff?
That's called sponsorship. And you're getting paid to be there in some way, shape, or form.
Jeff, I didn't know that just because they paid me or brought me to this really fancy dinner and put me up in an incredible hotel and gave us a husband and wife massage afterwards for the event.
All right,
I didn't know.
Let me actually just fill you in. All right, on how most of these paid for charities work. Over the years, I have had multiple charities offer to pay myself, pay Leg TV, pay other people to promote their charity and raise money for charity. And depending on what the charity is, and if you believe in the charity and they're reputable, it's up to you to make the call, like any other regular sponsorship. Typically, charity sponsorships in terms of the value, like the dollar amount, is usually not an insane amount like you would get from playing a video game. And in some cases, their budgets are very big. And like Adam said, in the past, I have been handed a budget and I'm like, I actually just can't.
I can't spend this.
I can't spend this. So you're going to have to use it somewhere else. So you'll see charities advertise on television, radio, internet, ad space on Facebook, whatever. Those are marketing dollars. A lot of charities have a budget, just like a video game has a marketing budget, just like how a movie has a marketing budget. They have to spend those dollars. They have to, which means even if they don't spend those dollars, their bosses are saying you need to spend this money. It's allocated for this specific purpose within the company. You have to go spend it. So what they do in the streaming space is they try and find a bunch of people to use up said advertising. So for example, and I'll just be as transparent, I can't share everything because it's, I signed.
It's contract shit.
It's contract shit. So, but I can tell you generally how it works. For example, for Leg TV, we would have a sponsored tournament from World Vision or whatever. They would sponsor the prize pool, actually, that's a bit false. I would actually sponsor the prize pool. If there was a prizes or anything like that, they could sponsor those things. I would have to actually come out of pocket for a lot of the stuff, but they would. What is very, very common for those types of deals is you get paid a day rate. So, for example, casting wise, you would get paid your day rate. So, like, say for example, a guy like Ninja, I don't know his business. I'll go with StarCraft because it's what I know. So, for example, StarCraft. Say I was casting for WCS. Blizzard would fly you out to the event and you would get a day rate. They would pay you per day. So that might be $200, $500, $1,000, $10,000, depending on who you are. So what a lot of these charities will do is they will offer you your day rate because they know that as a streamer, if you are dedicating a day of your time, that is a day of time that you are not, quote unquote, making your regular rate. So instead of paying you an astronomical amount of money like a video game sponsorship would, they would pay your day rate, and then it would just be a flat rate, whatever that individual would be. It'd be different for everybody, and they would have to approve it, and then that is how you would get paid. Now, the reason why they do it this way is because they have marketing dollars. So sometimes they will do giveaways, or they'll give the stream a certain amount of stuff to give away during a charity event or whatever. This is essentially how it works. So for example, when Adam and I we would make a tournament, they would sponsor that tournament and that content that would go on YouTube and stay there. and they would look at that as their advertising of what they would do on television or radio or stuff. That's typically how it works. So for people, and I can tell you, and I'm not going to put anybody's business out there. I can tell you, I mean, we've seen a thing here about Ninja on here. The whole nobody gets paid for charity work is absolute bullshit. I could literally personally name probably 20 people that I know personally that have gotten paid to do these sort of things, and it is a norm. Now, there are some times where charities will try and spend too much money, and it's up to the streamer to like say, hey, it's for charity. I don't need this type of thing. That is dependent on the individual, but they have advertising dollars and they need to spend them. And typically that's how it goes. So whether that is flying out Ninja to an event, there's money in the flight, the hotel, the rate, all these things. There are tons of streamers, and I've done it many of times in the past, where you've raised money for a charity or a cause, and you're not getting paid at all to do it. It's just, you just want to do it. And a lot of streamers do that. So it's really up to the streamer. And like this person in the tweet said, this person's been offered 20 grand plus to do a charity event. They do this stuff. It is a marketing place. Charities want to tap into the market. And
they know it's successful. Look at what Dr. Lupo has done.
Yes.
Look at what we did in our tiny community. We raised...
Oh, I mean, over the years, I've in the six figures.
Lots of money. And we milked the same fucking like 3,000 people.
Yeah. Yeah. So, they want to get into the space and it's competitive. So sometimes they use, and it depending on the charity, there's profit and non-profit. Depending on the charity, sometimes they don't have a marketing budget and they can't pay. You know what I mean? You just do it to do it. It's something you believe in. It's like, philanthropy, and you just want to do a great thing. That's a great thing. But if a charity is willing to pay somebody their day rate to get in front of tens of thousands of people or hundreds of thousands or millions of people, some people will do that. And it's great for the charity because they get their name out there. They, in return, get in front of a lot more people, and the charity makes more money for the cause. And that's just how it works.
So with that being said, that gives context to what's about to be said in this list here. So, XQC's final take before he dips. He says, "Hypocrite Harold," after the tweet was found about that. Again saying, "Off to PGI to participate in the PGI Charity Showdown, pumped, streaming from Germany on Friday. Hashtag ad." Jessica responds with, "If someone even so much as gives you free stuff, you are technically supposed to disclose it as a hashtag ad. They flew us to Germany and put us up in a hotel, not only for a non-charity tournament that they won, but also that. Not sure covering accommodations counts as paying to promote."
Oh, it does. It's part of the budget. What do you think is cheaper? Flying you out to an event and paying probably for your meals, your hotel, the taxi rides or the fucking limousine or whatever it is, and flying, God only knows, maybe flying out some of your entourage. What do you think is more expensive, that or paying somebody a couple $100 for their day to stream an event to raise thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars?
Jeff, I want to remind you you of the endless fucking blood, sweat, and tears as a manager. Jessica has worked for Ninja, and thank God she has, because without her, Ninja would have never known that them flying him out was totally not them paying for him to do charity work.
Dude, why do you think they flew Ninja out of all people? To raise money. Why else? If they weren't like, hey Ninja, Do you mind flying out to Germany for an event? We're not going to pay you. You're going to come out of pocket of everything. But hey, you're such a good person. I expect you to do that. So just please, if you don't mind, fly yourself, maybe your wife too. Fly on out, get yourself some nice tickets, get into a hotel, and then come promote my charity. Can you do that for free?
So, after Jessica says that, Ninja follows up with, "This was a tournament, not a fundraiser and charity stream on a personal channel. But 100% if this counts, you are right." Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Ninja.
Yes.
Yes. They are right.
Yes.
Wicked follows this up. "Trying to understand this take. You're saying if a middleman is paying you instead of the charity, that doesn't count as getting paid to promote a charity." Ninja responds with, "I honestly never thought about the middleman concept being in the same category as individuals promoting a charity on their own stream. The main point is, if an influencer is paid to promote or do a charity stream, #ad is there. This is a perfect example." Ninja then followed by blocking and unblocking XQC, which made XQC just automatically unfollow Ninja. Not that that makes any difference. There you go. All of that.
That was a long.
All of that because Ninja's wife necroed a 2-hour-long, already done conversation to get a passive-aggressive dig at XQC because she doesn't like him, and it just snowballed from there. What a fucking hot mess. What an absolute hot mess. Anyway. Thought we had to talk about that because it just blew my mind.
I mean,
specifically the end of that, where Ninja and his wife are like half admitting or admitting that they are unaware that what they had done was sponsored work.
They just got called out for it, dude. Like, the reality is, I'm not here to talk bad about anybody because, there's enough drama going on. And, my voice is pretty fucking small in comparison to people in these threads. But, looking from the inside or from the outside, looking at Ninja and his wife, I've got a tremendous amount of respect for what they've built together. It's not just a Ninja thing. His wife has been there. Listen, my wife is upstairs right now taking care of my son and doing a hell of a good job at it. Although she might not be down here on stream all day, she's as big a part of my success as I am or as what you are with me as well, Adam. Listen, I can speak for me personally. If I didn't have a powerful woman behind me and rooting me on and cheering me on and being a support, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. That's just reality. And I am sure it's the exact same thing for Ninja and his wife. She's been behind him the whole time. She obviously works hard. Nobody's taken that away from her. But at the same time, she does seem to run her mouth a lot. And it's almost like she flaunts a lot of things, and she also says a lot of stuff that she's doing all the time. Like, hey, I'm giving mods and people money, and I'm doing this and we're doing that. And it's like, listen, you're getting these responses from these people because you don't come off genuine. You come off like you're pandering
Clout
for compliments. We know you're successful. Your husband makes, $30 million without even putting in, quote unquote, the work, and can walk away and do another deal. We get it. You guys are rich. You guys are wealthy. You do a lot. We don't need you to go on Twitter and say, listen, motherfucker, we've donated millions of dollars and we've done this. We know. You don't need to tell us this and show us all of your Gucci and your Louis Vuitton shit. And then when somebody calls you out for it and you're wearing Louis literally from head to toe and taking pictures like you're on the red carpet every day, we get it. You're successful. You've done great work. But when people call you out and say these little things, they're just little shots at like saying, dude, it comes off pretentious. It comes off like, And then when you say, oh, I've never heard of this, like you kind of checked yourself. Like maybe you don't know as much as you think you do, because we're telling you this is how it works. And yeah, you might be amazing and have done great work and have contributed to Ninja's success, but that is in your circle. If you don't know how the industry works fully, then don't come out and throw shade at people that know what they're talking about and have been through it, especially when your husband has been sponsored to do these things directly or indirectly. It just comes off like very pretentious and stuck up. And like, I'm sure I'm a fan of what they do and what they've built, but like, you're getting called out on your shit. So just own it. It just,
here's a wild thought, Jeff. Don't necro threads and be passive aggressive just to take a dig at somebody when the conversation's already done and dusted. Because, like, you know who didn't go back into this conversation at any point wisely? Dr. Lupo.
Yeah, he said what he needed to say and he walked away.
It was done. And so did XQC. And 2 hours later, for whatever reason, Jessica, who didn't have anything else going on in her day at the time, decided that she needed to take a dig at XQC, and you fucking know she knew he was going to respond like that.
Oh, course,
it's XQC. So, like, I don't know if she thought that she was going to start something up to, like, get him to, like, trip up and make himself look bad in public or whatever, but she just ends up making herself look terrible, and then Ninja comes in, and now he's making himself, like, because he's going to defend her, and he's going to say some shit that makes him look, questionable in terms of his knowledge about what he's doing within his own business, while defending his wife for saying those same things. It's just, it's one of those things where it's like, if you're going to say something like that, make it general, make it about the industry, and then just say it on your own. Don't try and like directly call some people out for that shit. Just say it in general. Because if you start calling people out, you're throwing stones living in a glass house, and it's going to happen. You're going to get some shit in return. And
yeah,
that's
I don't
exactly
know.
what happened.
It's just been smelling of like.
I haven't personally seen a lot of her tweets because I don't follow Ninja or anything.
I don't either, but people like them, and then I have to see them. You know what I mean?
Thankfully, few if any people that I follow like her shit, so it doesn't show up. But what I did see in that were a number of people saying that she is like this quite a bit on social media. I just wouldn't know.
Yeah. I see it all the time. And the thing is, I have no problem. Like, listen, some people need self-validation. Like, some people, when they make it, what else, some people need to just hammer in the fact. I don't know if they're telling themselves that they're doing a great job and they need to.
Maybe they feel like they don't deserve what they've got and they're looking for somebody to like blow some smoke up their ass.
Yeah, it's possible. I just feel like I've been seeing that more and more with them in particular. And listen, you could use the argument, well, when you share those types of things, it makes it so other people want to do it as well. And I agree. If you do something nice, and you want to bring that energy out, there's nothing wrong with that. But there's just ways you can smell sometimes when it's just not as, I don't want to say genuine, but it just comes off like stuck up almost. Like it's you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the celebrities that come out and they're singing these songs, about, with this like COVID stuff, and they're coming out and you've got celebrities like
the Black Lives Matter stuff.
We're all the people. Yeah. And you've got like a bunch of celebrities doing like
celebrity shit.
Yeah, like celebrity shit, like they're on their high horse. It's like, they're stuck in their houses and they're not working their ass off.
You know what you do? You take the money you have, you find reputable places to put it, you do that, and you let it do the work. So people like Matt Damon do that shit, or you do something like Keanu Reeves or Matthew McConaughey sits down with the ex-football player, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, has his like segment talks with uncomfortable talk with. Yeah, and you do that shit. Don't sit down and do like a shitty fucking like singing thing that means nothing to anyone. I think the fact that those people get involved in that gives you a sense of just what, like, how much self-importance do you have to have before you think that that's actually something that somebody with their platform
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's the maximum like utility available.
Dude, as Dave Chappelle said, nobody gives a fuck what Ja Rule thinks.
Yeah,
You know
where's
what I mean?
Ja Rule?
Where's Ja Rule? Nobody gives a fuck what you know celebrity
ask Ja
says.
Rule,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? And in a lot of cases, nobody cares what some of these streamers got to say. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, if you put it out there and it doesn't come off genuine, like, people are calling you out on it, and that's just what happened. That's just it. Now, I'm not calling them bad people. I think they're great. I've said that 3 times now. It's just, you got called out on your shit, man. And yes, it is a sponsorship. I'm sorry to tell it to you. You might not have gotten a $5,000 or $100,000 check or $1 million check like you would from Red Bull, but you got flown out there. You got groomed. You got sent out there to raise awareness. And guess where it came from? Marketing budget.
Because
It's
if the middleman is coming to you, the middleman implies what, Jeff?
He's getting paid. He's getting paid.
If he wasn't, would he be the middleman?
No. Yikes.
Just that's what scared me about that, was that them saying middleman and then not having it dawn on them what the term middleman implies. If the money is coming from the middleman, the money is passing through them, which means the money is not theirs. The money is coming from somewhere else. It's coming from the charity.
It's coming from the charity, bruh. And you know what that charity did? They said, hey, can you get Ninja? We would love to have Ninja. The middleman would have went, that's going to be expensive. You're probably going to need to fly them out first class, or you're going to have to at least put them in a 5-star hotel. We're going to have to give them the treatment. They're going to need a stipend for food, and we're not talking McDonald's here. We're going to need to take them out to a nice dinner. They're probably going to have to charge this much for tweets. Probably going to have to do this. I'll see what I can do.
Yep.
He negotiates with Ninja and his people. They say yes or no, and the next thing you know, what, they're flying out, and there's a hashtag ad tweet. I wonder what happened.
On to the next one, Jeff. Trovo Live is now being talked about as a newcomer to the streaming space as Tencent's backing gets people talking. So Tencent has been buying up some shit, making a Twitch competitor of their own, because Tencent has so much money that they're looking for ways to spend it, and this is their newest way. They've come in, it's saying that there's a rumored $30 million partnership program starting sometime this month of July. And while Tencent is listed as an affiliate with Trovo, the streaming, while they're an affiliate, the address given out on the website is actually the address for Tencent's U.S. headquarters in Palo Alto, California. So they're more than an affiliate. They own the shit. Or they're a major stakeholder or shareholder. Tencent recently bought up Hua in April, which was a streaming platform already, and then a struggling content technology company called iFlix. And with their powers combined, they are Trovo Live. Now, if you go to trovo.live right now, it looks like what you would expect. It's a Chinese knockoff of Twitch, almost exactly. In fact, if you overlaid the two websites on top of each other, shit is fucking wacky close. It's basically the equivalent of a knockoff like Gucci bag, for example. It for all intents and purposes, looks exactly the same. It's just made in China by somebody getting paid $4 a month. So that's their thing right now. That's their major move. And if that $30 million budget is true for the partnership program, expect to see some people that you may or may not know taking some money to go stream on this platform. Should they? I mean, it's Tencent. It's Chinese government involvement more than likely. It would be similar to having TikTok on your phone, which is to say, don't. Somebody reverse engineered that shit in the last week and found out the comparison they made, to make a long story short, is that Facebook, if we were comparing the information being taken, where everyone in North America is putting up a stink about Facebook, Facebook would be a glass of water in terms of how much they're taking, and then TikTok would be the ocean. So, you know, you might want to be a little give or take,
Weary.
but admit you're going to see some people taking the bag if they do have $30 million they're about to throw around. I don't think you're going to be seeing really big names, but you're going to be seeing probably a fair amount of like mid-tier and lower streamers taking $100,000 deal, $500,000 deal, $1 million deal, pump up the platform a bit, and go from there. But yeah, if you check it out, I swear to God, I'm not fucking with you. It is literally twitch.tv.
I just checked it out. Yeah,
it's fucking wild, bro.
It's to the point where they might actually just get sued.
Well, unfortunately, it's in China, so
it's legit Twitch.
Good luck with that. So
without the viewership,
without the viewership for sure. Although expect that if they do start, because this has been almost all under the radar. They haven't done any advertising or anything. Tencent starts throwing around money in China for advertisement to get people moving. You will see, even if it was only Chinese people, you are going to see numbers start to appear for sure. If there's one company that isn't North American that has the money, or European, the money to enter this space, Tencent is one of the shortlisted companies that could do it, and they're already heavily invested in the gaming industry. And so, I mean, there you have it. We'll have to, that will be a developing thing. We'll keep you guys posted as we learn more, but that's where that's at right now. Furthering that, Tencent has their own Cyberpunk game coming up, and it's quite something. And by that, I mean it's quite something. I'll put the link there. You can skip through it a little bit if you want to, Jeff. We don't need to watch it. We talked too much about the XQC thing. But
that took a whole lot of extra time. That was a long thread.
It was a long thread.
I didn't even read it that deep. So when I saw that before, I didn't even go down that rabbit hole that deep. I stopped at the abusing of the cat line from Ninja, and I was like, oh, I dropped the microphone. I walked away. I was like, man.
No, it got deep. It's called, what is it? Was it on that video title? I can't remember. Let me see here. Code Sin, SYN, because Asian companies love putting code colon whatever the fuck in everything. Code Sin. And it looks like a Cyberpunk game, but if you took all the life and character out of Cyberpunk, much like any other knockoff that you could think of. I mean, it looks like stock assets. Very pretty. It's not that it looks ugly. I mean, graphically, it doesn't look bad. It looks good. It's just that it looks lifeless. It would be the equivalent of going from having a real wife to a one of those real sex dolls. Is they look like it looks like some semblance of the real thing, but it's just a lifeless husk. And that's exactly what that game looks like, a lifeless husk of a Cyberpunk ripoff. Again, not shocking. It's a Tencent Chinese-made game. Copyright doesn't exist. No new ideas exist over there. Just take everyone else's shit. So that's coming. You can check that. They have a trailer of some sort. It really just like a British dude talking over it. And it doesn't show a lot. It basically shows like some minor things about character leveling and things of that nature. And that's the show. So yeah, that's a thing. And then also on top of that, was there one more? Yes. So in conjunction with that, the last thing about Tencent is that they are starting up a U.S. studio to develop AAA games for the next-gen consoles. So they are getting a bigger foothold in the American market. They want to make some AAA games. They're starting up a studio for that. So we will learn more about whatever projects they have coming up. I'm sure probably within the next calendar year, probably even shorter than that, probably within the next 6 months. In other gaming news that is a fail and a lifeless husk, Amazon's Crucible launched and died very quickly. It came out, the player count dove off the face of the earth to the point where there was like less than 100 concurrent people playing that game at any given time. It got universally destroyed by just about everyone that played it or reviewed it, to the point where they pulled it off of Steam and they've gone back into closed beta to try and make a real video game that people would actually want to give the time of day. I mean, that's not surprising. It looked terrible. Did you watch any of that? It looked truly awful.
I didn't, because I don't really have any. That's not my cup of tea. I just
watched it because it was, people were getting paid to play the usual shit. Watched a little bit of it, the sponsored stuff, and it just looked terrible. I mean, it really looked awful. So Amazon going back to the drawing board with that. We'll see if that actually comes back or if it just gets fully canceled in the not too distant future. Next up, we got Epic Games says that the PS5, Jeff, is a masterpiece of system design.
Okay.
It's good news for PlayStation. Epic is fully behind you on that one. It's a masterpiece of system design. We'll see just how much comes out of that in the not too distant future. Next up, NBA 2K21, which Kobe Bryant is the cover for this one, which was a good idea, is set to launch at $79.99 USD for the standard edition, if I'm not mistaken, which means, and that's for the, now let me clarify, that's for the edition that comes out on the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5. Current gen is still the traditional full price amount. So, what that tells me is that everyone buckle the fuck up for a big jump in game cost for this next generation. If a sports title is coming out $79.99 USD, then that means that is now your AAA or full standard price, no special anything. That is your stock entry point, which means for Canadians, you're looking at anywhere from $89.99 to $94.99 for an entry-level standard edition game in the next generation. Fuck.
Yeah, I got Last of Us 2, and I was too lazy to go on the store and search it, so I just went to the store and clicked on what's hot, and I knew that Last of Us 2 would be on the front, so I clicked on that and I just bought it. I didn't realize that I paid for the special edition, which was like artwork, a soundtrack, just a bunch of shit I'm never gonna touch. And it was $94.99.
That's gonna be the standard price, bro, moving forward.
I got on the inside a little bit. I was like,
I got a hot take for you. Video games, the vast majority of them, AAA or not, are not worth $94.99 or $79.99 USD. They're just not. Full stop, in my opinion. And and there was discourse on Twitter amongst developers and stuff talking about the fact that game price hasn't changed in a long time, but the cost of developing the games has gone up, to which I said, tough shit. Maybe don't try and make a 60-hour long AAA game with bleeding edge technology and blown out scope that inevitably 9 times out of 10 fails because you scoped it too big and you run out of time and money, and then you crunch all your workers into the grave and then come out and go boo-hoo, and then your game sells 4.1 million copies in the first 72 hours, and you're like, dabbing your face with money that you don't pass on to your employees. Fuck yourself. Scope the games down. Games do not need to be, Jeff, 60 hours long. They don't need to be 50. They don't need to be 40. I can't think of many games in the last decade that I have played that have gone past the 20-hour mark that I have not thought to myself, this could have ended at about the 20-hour mark and it would have been a better game. There are only a couple. Everyone else is being, it feels like the game is being stretched. It's like going to the theater and it's like there's an act in here that just doesn't need to be in here, and it ballooned the length of the movie and didn't add anything. And in some cases, it detracted from the experience because it dragged it on longer than it needed to be, and it would have felt better if the movie ended sooner. Same thing. Very few games that I have personally played past 20 hours where I haven't had that thought. And with all the talk about burnout and all this other shit, it is painfully obvious that the games industry is scoping out too fucking far and needs to claw it back. And this is an example of them ignoring that and trying to cover themselves by simply increasing the cost by $10 or $20 a pop and perpetuating the bullshit. I'm gonna keep it extra real before I hand it off to you to see if you have anything to say about this. Sports games are really not worth $79.99 US dollars. They are almost categorically the same fucking game with almost no difference year on year. If you're lucky, once every 3 to 5 years, you will have a substantial enough change within the game that you would want to buy into the next one, other than being a major sports fan that just wants the latest roster, and that's the show. Graphically, fucking same. Voiceover work for the commentators, honestly, it's gotten worse. All the microtransactions and the card games and the other bloated bullshit. Casinos. Where, like, the last NBA was literally just a casino game that just so happened to have a basketball game attached to it. It's not worth $79.99. Unfortunately, Adam is saying current games are not worth $100, but then saying they should be much smaller in scope. That doesn't make any sense. How does that not make sense? If the games are smaller in scope, they're not worth $100 now, because they're not good games for the money. You're paying for games that are too big in scope so that the quality is down, is what I'm saying. Paying $79 for NBA 2K21 is not value in any way, shape, or form. It's terrible value for the fucking money.
Well, it also costs them more money to develop a really long game opposed to,
yes,
a smaller game.
So you bring the scope down, the development cost goes down, the quality goes up, the development time also can tend to go down, and you don't have to charge $100 fucking for a 12-hour long campaign with multiplayer or an 80-hour long game that stopped being good at hour 30. Like, and you got to keep in mind that these are the people saying that it's getting hard, but you're paying $79.99, and then their game is getting chock full of microtransactions and battle passes and expansions and reach arounds and complimentary blowjobs that they in the fine print charge you fucking $50 for, and they milk you for so much more money than just the $79. They get you for a ton more money, and they know that they only need a couple of whales to make it up. Nobody's hurting in the game industry except for the employees making the fucking games. People at the top, and developers and publishers, are reaping all the benefits of this extra added cost and passing almost none of it on to the people making the games. And so if they can't do that, they can't be asked to do that, then they better pull back the fucking scope so they're not killing their employees that they're not passing the profit on to. I don't understand how that doesn't make any sense as far as like the scope being regardless, it's crazy.
Mm.
What's your take on games in the future in this next gen being $94.99? I know personally, if I wasn't buying games to stream or review, and even reviewing the games, I'm gonna have to be fucking like real specific about what games I'm buying. Because for after tax pushing 120,
It ain't
fuck.
cheap. It ain't cheap.
What's the attach rate on consoles going to be at that much money for a fucking game?
Yeah, you see, I get what you're saying, and I'm kind of with you. I mean, the prices, yeah, I mean, $89.99, $94.99. This is Canadian dollars. It's a lot. You know, my heart sunk a little bit when I found out, and I was just going so fast. Like, I was just buy, install, let's go. And it just, because I have my PlayStation hooked up to, like, you got a credit card on file, you just click it and it just
And that's
does
for
it.
shit that you weren't going to use, but that's for a deluxe edition. We're
Yeah,
talking
that was
not
the
the
deluxe.
same price.
Yeah.
For the entry, you're walking
Yeah.
through the gate.
Yeah, you know, I'm conflicted. So I'm with you on one point where some video games are just long for the sake of being long. And they're doing that because I think there's pressure within the game companies to give people more, even though the more that they're giving is just more of the same. And I've seen this many times where you're playing a game and it's super exciting and fun for 4 to 6 hours and it's unique and it's engaging. And then it's the same 4 to 6 hours 3 or 4 more times. And it's just very repetitive and it's just long for the sake of it being long. On the flip side, and you know what? Before I go on the flip side, I'll make this analogy. A lot of video games these days, and I'm actually feeling it with The Last of Us. I'm probably 10, 11 hours into The Last of Us now, and I think it's a 20-hour game. Do I feel like it's too long? I wouldn't say that yet, but I have a feeling that it is going to feel that way by the time I'm done because I'm so far in now and only so much has happened, and I feel like there's so much more to be said and done in the game that by the time I get to the end, it's going to feel long. I find some video games, a lot of video games that are coming out like all-you-can-eat buffets. And if you ever gone to an all-you-can-eat buffet, there's tons of food. If you're going to a good one, there's all kinds of variety. You've got stuff from pizzas all the way to like beefs and chickens and pastas and desserts and Chinese food and Italian food and Greek, and you just go there and you're overwhelmed with the choices. But the problem is with some of these buffets is they put too much food out at once, and a lot of the time, by the time you get up there and you go to eat, it's been sitting under these lamps for a long time. And what was actually quality product has now dried out. It's kind of cold. It's like, yeah, you know what? It is chicken balls and rice, and I guess it's all right. It's a Chinese food fix. But what would have been nice is to get out there the moment that the chefs come out with those big tubs and they pour in the fresh shit that just came right off the skillet. And there's some love and effort in that. But instead, it got picked apart by 50 other people. And they took the best looking chicken balls that had the right amount of chicken to batter ratio. And it's just nice and hot. And they got that nice sauce they put on the top. But now
You got
the sauce,
Jell-O before it got like the hard top on it because it dried out.
they got the sauce and it's got the chicken ball sauce has got like this layer of hard to it.
Yeah.
And you got to like take the scoop and break through it like ice when winter time when the water's just starting to freeze over, and it's just not as good. and you pour it on there and it's a little thicker than normal, but you know what? It's still got that taste.
Jeff, this analogy is turning into the all-you-can-eat buffet of analogies.
It is what it is, but you see where I'm going with this.
Yes, I get yeah.
You see where I'm going with this. This is what video games are now, is they put so much shit into these bins, right? Thinking that, oh, you know what? There's going to be tons of people to show up. Just hit them with so much food that they can just eat and eat and eat and eat and eat. But the problem is they put so much shit out there and so many options that by the time you actually go and get some of the things that you like, and whether this be a video game where the mechanics are really good or the storyline might be really good, but then, you know, the sound is garbage, or, you know, there's the voice acting is bad, or the music just isn't great. And parts of it just go to shit because they threw so much garbage in there to make it bigger, make it seem bigger than what it really is. And the reality is this all-you-can-eat buffet is really only good at making pasta. But instead, they've got pizza and Chinese food and beef and lobster and salmon and all this other stuff. It's like, yeah, I like lobster. Yeah, I like salmon. But I came here for your pasta because you're known for really good pasta. So I just want to go and get some. But instead, before you get to the pasta, you start grabbing old hard pizza. You start going through the chicken balls with the sauce you got to break through first. And by the time you get to the pasta, your plate's already full. And now you only got enough for a few bow ties.
You haven't even hit dessert.
You haven't even got the dessert yet. And you get to the table and you start eating the pizza and you're like, oh, you know what? Well, I'm so hungry right now. I've been waiting for this game for so long that I'm just going to eat this pizza. You know, I've had better pizza, but it's pizza and I'm really hungry. And then you start eating the salmon. You're like, you know what, though? I take a few bites of that. Let me go try the lobster here. Lobster tails. Okay, the lobster tails is, you know what? It's lobster, but I wish it had a little bit more butter on it. I don't know. You know what? Let me get to the pasta because this is what we came here for. And then you get to the pasta and you realize it's dry. It's dry because they spend too much time and effort with all the shit that they're not good at and that they didn't need. We didn't need multiplayer on a single player game. We didn't need you to do that. We didn't need this battle pass. We didn't need that. We just needed a competent game, something that we're okay with paying for. Instead, you're throwing everything in because you feel like you need to get to every lover there is. Because as people walk past this all-you-can-eat buffet, they're catering to 3 kids in the lineup of a bajillion adults that really want just cheese pizza. So what you do, you have an entire section of the buffet dedicated to cheese pizza. It's okay to let those kids go down to McDonald's and get a Happy Meal. Cater to the ones that want what they want. They want your pasta. You're really good at it. So give us bow tie. Give us linguine. Give us spaghetti with those big meatballs and the awesome sauce. Give me some bolognese. Give me some white sauce. Give me it all. Give me pasta. It's what I'm here for. But instead, I'm getting a whole lot of shit I don't need. And now I'm full up on the shit that I didn't want. But I took it because I'm hungry. And now I'm angry. And I feel unsatisfied. And I ate too much shit at the buffet and my asshole's going to be on fire.
Is that a really long way of saying that games are scoping too big?
Yes.
Okay.
That's where I'm going with it.
Okay. I agree.
That's where I'm going.
I agree.
And thus they feel like they need these games to be $100. And if they just narrowed down the scope.
Yes.
And just knew their audience and catered to their audience instead of just trying to get every Fortnite player.
Yes.
It'd probably be a little bit cheaper.
Yes.
Their
Jeff,
employees
everyone
probably
wants
wouldn't want to quit.
Everyone wants every game to make $6 trillion.
Yes.
And that's where you get the publisher comes down and says, I see what you're doing. And you are good at that pasta. But we can't let those kids grab a fucking Happy Meal. I'm sorry. We have to include the cheese pizza that is multiplayer. And the devs sit there going, we're actually just really not good
at cheese pizza.
And then the publisher says, well, here's a YouTube video. Learn how to make cheese pizza.
The Fortnite kids really love cheese pizza.
And so you're going to have to make some cheese fucking pizza. I'm
so
sorry.
The stockholders go, I want cheese pizza, damn it. And the publisher the developer goes, well, guys, we need cheese pizza.
And that's how
And
you end up with
the
some of the shit.
employee is sitting there with a pot of beautifully cooked bow tie pasta, and he's looking at his boss going, what about the pasta? And the boss says, get in ovens. We need cheese pizza. And make sure that half of the pizza has pepperoni on it for the few that want pepperoni and cheese.
It's the
So
way it
yes,
is.
I'm kind of with you on that.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
Okay.
they are right. Video games have been at the same price for a long time. You know, the cost of making things are going up. It's just the cost of living have gone up.
Well, that's the counter to that is if you, and people have already done that, if you literally do cost of living, our dollar today is worth less, like purchasing power today is worth less, and not by a small margin.
A lot.
In the 20 years that people will cite game cost hasn't changed, purchasing power is way down, and so the cost of that game today is more, even though it's the same price as if it was 1999. It's the same thing. And so it's not the same thing. It's actually more expensive now. So to do that and then tack on another $20 on top of that, it's like the equivalent of paying, 60% more for the game. At which point, again, the quality part comes in and the scope comes in, and with all the discussions of the burnout and the 7-year development cycle and the fucking all the crazy, slow the fuck down.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm hungry and I want carbs.
You want some bow tie pasta.
I want some bow tie pasta real bad.
You want some bow tie pasta.
I've been eating clean for almost 3 weeks.
Bro, are you really in your 30s and you consider eating clean, backing off on pasta? Please tell me that's not the case.
Well, I had to cut out some carbs. I had to cut out the sugar. I'm still eating bread. Like, I'm still like having toast and stuff in the morning. I am eating white rice still, smaller portions. But yeah, I had to lose some weight, man. I was at 194 pounds.
I would say
194.
I would say the snacking and the alcohol and the
I don't drink
and the pop and shit like that.
It's the snacking. It's the snacking.
The pasta's not coming for your waistline, bro. You're 30 years. You're 32, 33 years old. The pasta's not coming for your fucking your waistline.
Hey, I cut down. Hey, I was 194. I'm at 188. I'm feeling better.
Attaboy.
Slimming down.
Attaboy.
Feeling good. So I'm going to keep this going for like another 2 weeks, and then we'll go from there. Because I got to get back down to around 183, 182. That's like my regular go-to. But I was like fucking straight up 10, 12 pounds heavier than I normally am, which is...
I'm having the opposite problem. Because I started exercising again, I'm dropping too much weight, and I'm not able to get enough fucking calories into my body in a day to keep it up.
Getting thin.
And so I'm thinning out. So it's like a fucking, like, it's like I need to wake up earlier just to get an entire extra meal in if I'm going to continue exercising. More specifically, it's the treadmill. It's the constant treadmill burning. You know, you get on a treadmill and you're burning 300 to 400 calories in a run.
Yep. That's what I do every morning for an hour to an hour and a half, and I usually burn between 500 and 700 calories every morning on the treadmill.
Yeah.
And it's coming off.
That'll do it.
Yep. And it feels good. It feels good because I can listen to podcasts or audiobooks, and the time just fucking flies, and I don't feel guilty about consuming content on my free time, because my free time, I don't have a lot of it, so I just use that time to like just chill and do my thing. So I'm getting a bit of addicted to it now.
Yeah, the my pro tip for the treadmill: barefoot that shit, bro.
Barefoot.
Changes your gait, changes how you want to walk, because you don't go heel toe, because you don't have cushion in the shoe to guard it, and so you tend to. You can wear socks, yeah. The socks fine. I do socks or barefoot, and it forces you. You end up walking more on the pads of your feet. It engages your arch, and uses the arch as a shock absorber like it's supposed to. And your knees take less damage because you're your arch in your foot is actually doing its job. Whereas in shoes, where you're getting comfortable, people, especially when they're running, a lot of people drive heel toe and they drive heel first, and there's no shock absorption except for whatever the shoe is providing. And so people get softer and softer and softer shoes. The arch does less and less work. Their feet get flatter and flatter as they age. Their knees and back get worse and worse. So if you're on a treadmill, I highly recommend barefoot.
I'm trying it tomorrow, Adam.
Make it happen.
I'm trying it tomorrow.
You do it for
on Thursday.
You do it a few days where you're going to discover, probably even after the first day, your calves are going to be fucked the day following. Because it forces you to use a bunch of muscle in your calves that don't get used when you're walking in shoes. Changes them entirely. But it will also give you really fucking dope calves because you're using your calves, again, the way that they were meant to be made or used, and not because you're wearing shoes. You know, if you're running outside, don't run outside in bare feet. You're going to fuck yourself up. Glass, rocks, it's bad. But if you're on a treadmill inside,
you're good.
You're good. Just
you're good.
Go with that. Barefoot is much, 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 much better. My knees are notoriously bad. Barefoot on the treadmill, knees are already feeling better. It's the way we were supposed to be. Anyway, that's a tangent in 3 quarters. Xbox Series S, which I told you is, I'm telling you, it's fucking happening. Rumors have kicked back up again. And it's rumored that the CPU in the S is still stronger than the CPU in the PS5. Standard edition PS5, which is the only edition we have from PS5 right now.
Oh, you know what a beefier one is in production.
At some point, but I mean, based on their architecture and what they're using, I don't know how they go beefier because they're already doubling down on the clock speed thing. So heat was already a problem. So I don't know. They'd have to have different hardware. Regardless, the GPU, of course, is weaker than the PS5s would make sense. Otherwise, the cost would be impossible. But this is in line with what I think, where it'll come in at the Xbox Series S, I think will be the same price as the diskless PS5. And then the Series X, I still think will be $100 more than the PS5. There's rumors again coming out this month, from more credible sources this time, that the PS5 is looking like a $499. And so I still think that's the case. I still think you're going to see Series S $599 US. Diskless was going to be like $449 for the PS5, and I think the Series S will be $449. There'll be a $150 difference between the S and the Series X, and they're going to probably push the Series S as a 1080p 60 locked-in experience, maybe 1080 120 with some games, and then the Series X is you want the 4K 60, you want the full you want the full fucking shebang. You get the Series X, and there will be the $150 difference. But we'll have to wait and see. But I would be surprised if we don't hear about the Series S. If it doesn't happen before the Series X comes out, we'll hear about it inside of like the first quarter, 3 months after the Series X is out. I think it would be a major blow to PlayStation if Series S is announced to be the same price as the diskless PS5. I think that would be a crazy good marketing strategy for Microsoft. But we'll wait and see. Next up, Dan McCulloch, the head of Xbox Live for the last 15 years, announced that he is departing Team Xbox. Finally, he's stepping down. No crazy reason. He's just been there for 15 years. It's time. It's time. His watch has ended. He's stepping down. I should say, Jelly brings up a point. I also expect the S, by standard, will not have a 4K Blu-ray player in it to keep the cost down on it.
Makes sense.
But yeah, Xbox Live. We have no idea who's replacing him yet, but those are some pretty big shoes to fill. If he's been head of Xbox Live for 15 years, that's pretty fucking successful. That's a hell of a track record to leave behind, because Xbox Live has been like head and shoulders ahead of everyone else in the market for the online experience. So that's some serious work for whoever's going to step into those shoes. Next up, reports of Sony questioning some outlets' reviews of The Last of Us 2 lead to many other journalists, when I say many, coming forward about this being pretty common over the years, where it's not uncommon for representatives from publishers, developers, or the heads like a Sony or a Microsoft, contacting them and questioning them if they're not giving what they consider to be favorable or reviews that they think are fair. Which, and this is the point I was trying to drive home the other week, when that girl that came out, for example, that used to work at IGN and said she never knew anyone to get directly paid for the reviews. I personally, at least, never took the stance that people were getting directly paid to write favorable reviews. But this kind of shit, where it's the publisher or Sony or Microsoft or the developer going to the publication and there's a relationship there and there's a little bit of give and take, especially if, like what happened with Jeff Gerstmann with the game he reviewed, where they were buying ad space on GameSpot for months leading up to the release. And then Jeff Gerstmann comes out and says, hey guys, this game is not great. It's a 6 or a 6.5. I can't remember what he gave it out of 10. And then the new manager of GameSpot at the time that had never known about that relationship that can happen, where they came to him and said, how are you going to do that to us? We're going to pull our advertising if you don't correct that review score or take it down. And that's money. And the new manager is obviously going, I can't have this on my shoulders so early. I just got here. Fired Jeff Gerstmann. Now we have GiantBomb.com. That happens. These weird relationships where they send an email and they go, hey, like this guy said, he said the rep emails him and says, some of your conclusions that you reached in your review were unfair and dismissed some meaningful changes and improvements. That's very cordial, but think about how fucking weird it is that you put out a review, which is just an opinion you have, and then have a PR rep from Sony email you to question your opinion in like some sort of weird arm twisting, but like not. It's like legally they don't want, like they can't directly.
They can't. Yeah.
And so when you see, and this is what I talked about when there were all those reviews long before the game came out, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10, like the fucking Imperial March. 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10.
10 now.
10, 10, 10, 10, 10. And then somebody comes out and says, it's an 8. And everyone's like, huh? Oh, that doesn't rhyme with 10.
Some of your conclusions in this review were unfair and dismissed on some meaningful changes or improvements. What is this 8 you speak of? Join the 10 march.
I have to again, just reiterate how many times reviewers get game copies like 72 hours before the embargo lifts or the game releases, and they've got to rush so that their publication that they're doing this review for, that they're an employee of, is still first to market or within 5 minutes of releasing from that fucking embargo window. I promise you that there are so many of these high score games that these are the relationships, and there is pressure from somewhere to get that out, and they're only playing the first third to 2/3 of some of these games that they're putting reviews out for, and that just fucking happens.
Yep.
Wait for shit that happens after the game comes out, when you know that there's a better chance the person that's reviewing it has, without a shadow of a doubt, played the whole fucking thing, beginning to end, and then put some stake in that shit. Because, my God, man, this is the kind of shit that happens. That's the reality of it. And so, eventually, Jeff will be done The Last of Us 2. I'll be interested in his take. What's your take so far on the game, anyway? You've played some.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it, if I'm being honest.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
There is this... I'm not going to spoil anything, but, I'm sure a lot of people have heard already, and I don't want any spoilers in the chat. Nothing like that, guys, so keep it to yourself. There are things in the game that people fundamentally hated, and as soon as certain things happened in the game, they completely went against it. And I feel like even as I was playing it, people's attitude within the game. Like when I was getting to certain parts of the game, they were like, "Oh, this is when the game died to me," or "This is, this blah blah blah." And for me, um, those things didn't bug me because I'm in it for the story. I haven't played the whole thing out, so I don't know how it all kind of comes together. And I don't, certain. It's like in a film. Sometimes in the beginning of a movie or in the middle of a movie, something happens, and you're like, "Oh my god, what the
Mm,
hell?" I don't
mm.
really like that. But then as it tells the story and you get to the end and it's complete, you go, "Wow, okay, now I see why that happened," and this whole thing kind of comes together.
So I guess for you, the hope right now is that it all comes together after having
No,
seen that part.
no, it doesn't need to.
Mm.
I don't need it. I don't have some sort of thing in my head where I'm like, okay, if it doesn't go this way, I'm gonna hate this game. I'm
No,
just
no, I don't
going.
mean that. I don't mean that. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm misreading what you're saying, but like,
I'm
it's
talking about
good as
what.
long as there's like, for you personally. I mean, like, as long if something happens like in a movie, like you were just saying, as long as when you see there's good justification on the other side for it happening.
Yes.
I feel like some people are having that reaction in your chat where if they did play the whole game, they're saying, for them anyway, there
Yeah.
wasn't good justification for that turning point in the
Yeah.
story or
Yeah,
whatever.
you watch something like Game of Thrones, for example,
Yes, yeah.
and when something happens in Game of Thrones, say something happens,
Yeah.
a favorable person gets fucked up
Yeah,
or
yeah.
a relationship gets broken, and you really enjoyed their dynamic,
Yes.
and it's no longer a thing, temporarily or forever. Some people, it doesn't matter what the outcome is, they automatically hate it because fundamentally, this isn't what they envisioned. They wanted it to be what they wanted it to be, and
Yes,
when it's
yeah.
not, immediately it's a write off. I have found a lot of people jumping on that train and just being as soon as certain things happen within the game. And there's several times already in the game where I'm like, whoa, okay, that's a big that's a big plot change. Some of it at face value, I go, I'm not really sure how I feel about this, but I'm gonna go with the flow. And then some of it goes, this is interesting. I didn't see it going this way. I'm intrigued. So I'm a more of the intrigued part. I would say halfway done the game, maybe a little bit more than halfway. And as of right now, the only thing that I don't like about the game is the controls in terms of the movement. Simply because the way the game plays, it's very cinematic, and so the in particular the over the shoulder and movement that you have with the character and the shooting, it isn't as fluid as the first one was because they really went like, dude, it feels like you're playing a cutscene almost all the time. And when the game is designed to be that way, in terms of just viewpoint, and a lot of the tension and atmosphere comes from your camera angle and the way your character moves, it does make the actual gameplay at times almost unbearable because they cater so much to that. But what's good about it is the vast majority of time, it's okay because what they've done really works for the game. So the bad, although it's annoying to deal with at times, and it's frequent enough that it is annoying, but it isn't anything where you're like, I can't play this anymore. For me, for you, Adam, you'd go crazy on it. Like you'd just be, you'd go nuts. You'd probably write a 10,000 word
For
page
what? For what
essay.
part? Like
Just
the.
mechanically speaking, like
Oh, okay.
how you move around and you shoot in the game, but
Yeah.
since the camera angles a certain way, there are scenes in the game where it totally just it's a match that just doesn't happen. It's like the mechanics and the camera angle is fighting the gameplay mechanics, and it comes to a
I
head.
think I
Which
talked about that being a thing that I'd probably have hated when we watched the gameplay, and I was talking about the camera movement and how they're trying to make
yeah,
it cinematic and how that looks really good until you play it and you die
yeah,
like 15 times in that same spot, and then you're just like just fucking let
yeah.
me
So there are a couple of those moments, and that's literally what it is. But I can overlook that because the game shines so well at the whole cinematic part. I mean, there is like two parts in particular in the game so far that will probably stick in my mind for the next decade in terms of like wow moments in video game history. You know what I mean? Like it's like, whoa, that was an experience. The sound, the acting in the game is incredible. Like it is wow. The graphics are just gorgeous. It sucks that it's locked in 30 frames, but it still looks incredible. Like it looks even better than Red Dead.
Well, you were
Like
never going to get 60 frames looking like that.
no,
And I'd
not
rather
on this,
have,
not on
and it's a
this console.
cinematic looking game in the first place.
Yeah.
So 30, as long as it's locked, is better than having the frame
Yeah.
rate like fucking.
Yeah, it doesn't go all over the place. Like
Yeah.
it's very, very rare that it seems like it's dips. But yeah, overall, I would say like right now I'm really enjoying it. The fact that I didn't just stop playing it says a lot about me because I'm pretty picky. But I'll also be the first to say that the first Last of Us is one of my favorite games of all time. Simply because it gave me an experience within the game that I hadn't gotten in this new generation of gaming that I had gotten as a child. You know, The Last of Us and Naughty Dog have created an experience for me with the first Last of Us that Mario 64, that Final Fantasy 7 had created for me, 20 and 25 years ago. So the fact that they managed to do that, I'm a little biased because I root for the game. It's more Last of Us, so that's not a bad thing. The pacing is a little slow at times, but I'm almost enjoying being there with the characters. So there are times like where there's an hour, 2 hour that goes by that it just feels like a filler of a TV show, but you're okay with that because you love the show. But you don't want too much of it. Like you get to the point where like, okay, give me the good stuff. The
You
build
don't
up.
necessarily, you don't mind the tennis episode, but you don't want the entire Great Saiyan Man saga to happen.
There you go. Exactly. So overall, I'm enjoying it. At this rate, if I hate to rate a game now, but the way it's going, like if it would be they tied up the storyline that I'm interested in hearing about, and it makes sense, I'll be looking at like an 8.5 right now in terms of gameplay and enjoyment of it. It could go all the way up to a 9. I couldn't give it a perfect score simply from the fact that they haven't really changed the envelope some. And at this point, this might sound a little harsh. I'm not sure we actually needed another Last of Us because so far within the story, there's nothing here that warranted to tell this again, but I'm not angry that it's happened because I am enjoying it. But this isn't something that I needed to wait like 6 or 7 years to experience again because there's nothing here so far that I'm like, man, that was an amazing story to tell. That might change, but that's sort of where I'm at right now with it.
Well, there you go. We'll see what the rest of it is when you're finished. I look forward to your review upon it being done. Where are we? I'm losing my spot. Oh, here we go. Last up. Nintendo shareholders meeting reveals the company is still focusing on software, though hardware talks are beginning. However, that does tell you that to not expect new hardware from Nintendo anytime soon. I was under the impression that this year, and I've been saying since like mid last year, that 2020 would probably see some model refresh of the Switch, not for graphics perhaps so much as just more internal memory and shit like that. I still wouldn't be surprised if that happened, but yeah, there's not going to be a new Switch to compete, and I put in quotation marks because it's not, they don't compete with the other two, but like to upgrade along lockstep with Xbox and Sony. So I wouldn't look for that kind of an update anytime soon. I still would be very surprised if they didn't make or put out an edition that had more internal memory or something of that sort sometime this year. But who knows? Maybe they're just holding it back and saying fuck it, because it's selling like hotcakes anyway. But if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing. And that's all we got for that. Jeff, it's time to sell out. I need a hyper quick sell. This needs to be quick.
Yeah, I know. Fuck. Where do we start first? Elgato. Go and check them out. Check out their new Wave products. They're in the audio game. They're pretty much sold out everywhere. So refresh those Amazon pages, refresh their website. Follow them on Twitter so that you know when more is available. They've been tweeting out when more stock comes in. That stuff is just selling like hotcakes. Stream decks are available in the minis, the regular size, and the XLs. Definitely go check them out. They're supporters of the stream. They sponsor the stream. Hashtag sponsored. Link is in the description below. Get yourself some lighting if you need it, green screens, capture cards. The next generation of consoles are coming out, so make sure you go and pick yourself up one of their 4K capture cards. They're also in stock, so you can get those. And that's Elgato. Link is in the description. Got to give a shout out to NordVPN. If you guys don't already have a VPN service, type an exclamation. Actually, don't do that here. Just scroll underneath the stream or the video. I'm so used to saying it on my stream.
It's true.
It's just second nature. On YouTube, go in the description, click on the link. It'll take you there. Use the promo code OTT. Get 70% off. If you're listening to this on the RSS feed, nordvpn.com, nordvpn.com/OTT. It'll take you to the same place. 70% off when you use the promo code. Up to 6 simultaneous devices. Stay safe. Stay anonymous. Stay protected on the interwebs, especially when you're out there on public Wi-Fi. You can use it on your phone, your laptop, your smart TV, your router, your extension for your Chrome browser, a desktop app. You can use it virtually anywhere that has an internet connection. They've got you hooked up, and it has a 30-day money-back guarantee. If it's not doing what you wanted it to do or what you thought it could do, get your money back within 30 days, no questions asked, and get a full refund. Not only that, you can oh man. I was did I say up to 6 simultaneous
I believe
at
so.
the same time? Ugh, see,
I think you got it. You locked it up.
I'm going too fast. You see, that's what it is.
That's fine.
What I'm basically trying to say, guys, is NordVPN. Go pick it up. Go watch different regions of Netflix. You can do that. You can watch YouTube videos and Twitter feeds and videos that have you region blocked by one click of a button. It's that easy. One click. Super easy to set up. Literally will take you 2 minutes to install, to create an account, and click one button. And you can mask your region. Maybe you're a poker player and you want to play on websites and you can't play in certain. Hey, I don't know what you're going to do with your NordVPN, but it is available there at 70% off. There it is. Oh, patreon.com/legtv. You ought to go over there and throw some money at the screen.
You guys have been doing that.
And if you can't, you ought to hit us with that like button. You ought to hit us with a comment for that algorithmic purposes. And you got to share the podcast to a friend, one person. That's all it takes. And that'll make us grow. That'll help us grow. We've been doing this for over 3 years. If you guys want to see us keep going for another 3 years, you got to show some love, man. Whether that is financially on the Patreon or buying a sponsored product so they keep renewing, or sharing the podcast so we can get those views and we can keep this going because we want to do this for a long time.
We want to be even older men and still doing this.
Yes.
Ideally.
And that's pretty much the show.
Next up, it is time for
movies and TV.
I've ran out of prompts for you there. That was getting scary. Terry Crews has taken a lot of heat for his Twitter comment about the current movement. People saying, I think I've read this right, but people saying he really is his character from White Chicks. Was he in White Chicks?
Yeah.
I haven't seen White Chicks in so long I couldn't remember if he was in White Chicks. Anyway. His tweet was this, and brace for it because it's such a hot take, you're just not ready for it. Terry Crews said, "If you're a child of God, you are my brother and sister. I have family of every race, creed, and ideology. We must ensure that Black Lives Matter does not morph into Black Lives Better." That got him basically lambasted for, what I can only assume would be like not like, I actually don't know. My best guess is that people in the Black Lives Matter movement are reading this as him being sympathetic to anything that isn't black. That's all I've got. But he took a lot of heat for it. I don't personally really get it. I mean, all he's saying is that he's hoping or wants to ensure that, and because he's saying ensure, it means that he's not saying that it is currently. He's saying that he wants to ensure that it doesn't morph into Black Lives Better, because like anything, you will see it. People will take something about equality. We see this all the time about equality and flip it so that like it's equality, but it's also let's make up for all this shit that happened before with people that live now that weren't part of that then, but let's bring all of that now because then it's equal, and then let's put us above that, and it flips. So instead of it being about equality, it's about tilting the scales in the other direction, which is what he is saying he's hoping to avoid. And people are like, the way that they're talking about him, they're saying that he's a white sympathizer.
Dude, I mean, Terry Crews, I do follow him on Twitter. He's one of actually the very few celebrities that I actually follow on Twitter. And I don't remember the reason why I do follow him. He was commenting on something a while back, and I thought it was really insightful.
He's a smart guy.
He is a smart guy. I think he's and over this whole Black Lives Matter movement stuff, he's been saying some things that I don't think he's articulating the best through a tweet. Kind of like the ninja thing a while back, when he's like, you're if you don't get angry when you fail, then you know whatever. Right? It's like, we get what you're trying to say. You just kind of said it wrong. And I find Terry Crews has been riding that for like the last couple of weeks. And I think he feels, and I'm just speculating, but as a black man, I'm speaking it from Terry Crews, being a black guy, a celebrity that has a voice, he's got a lot on his mind. And I think he's trying to spread as much positivity and knowledge as he can to the internet and to people around the world. And I think just sometimes the way he's articulating things is coming off a little bit because you look at something like this and I see where people are coming from, where they go, well, dude, like, the whole point of this thing is to create awareness and make sure that Black Lives Matter. And what you're doing is you're sympathizing for white people or people of not color because we're being hard on them for the very thing that we want justice. So we're as equal. And that's, I don't with this tweet, I don't think that's what he's doing. I think what he's trying to say is like, hey, we're all children of God, as in like we're all brothers and sisters. Doesn't matter what kind of race or ethnic background you have. We're all the same. So let's just make sure that, it's not Black Lives Matter, or Black Lives Matter doesn't morph into Black Lives Better. We want to be equal. We just want to be equal. We don't want to have better treatment than, say, white people or Hispanics or Asians.
That's what I'm saying. He's saying is he's trying not to have it make it so that it will flip the script, because that oftentimes especially when people are as emotionally engaged as they are with this current situation, that often does happen, where it will go, they want to go past and beyond as recompense for
what happened in the past.
For what has happened in the past. And that's what he's getting at. I actually don't think it's poorly worded. I just think it's poorly timed. If he had waited for this to say this for when
Smoke settles a little bit.
When the dust settles a little bit and things are getting a little bit better,
Better.
or waiting to see if that kind of ideology was beginning to spark up in places within the movement, because right now there isn't any, which is why he said we must ensure. He's not saying it is, or or it shouldn't be, because if it was, he'd be implying that it already exists. But what he's saying means that it doesn't exist. So if he had waited to see if that kind of ideology actually was starting to bubble up, and he was seeing it, and it was like warning signs, and he was a little concerned about it, that would have been a more appropriate time. I actually don't think this is poorly worded at all. I think people read Black Lives better, that he put at the end there, as the All Lives Matter, instead of saying Black Lives Matter. And then, and you know, I'm not a black guy, but from my perspective,
So there is a guy I'm reading.
People, yeah. I'll finish my thought here, and then you can go ahead.
Yeah.
But what you see, especially in responses like this, on Twitter, where it's the most heated people are on Twitter. It's just the reality of social media. People only want to hear what they want to hear, and right now, all they want to hear, and it's not wrong to think that way, is Black Lives Matter. They don't want anything else attached to it. They don't want even and this is this is not a fucking counter to Black Lives Matter tweet, but they see it as counter to Black Lives Matter tweet, because he's not simply ending his tweet with hashtag Black Lives Matter. If he just ended his tweet in hashtag Black Lives Matter, everything is fine. This is similar to other people coming out on social media in their own ways, and people getting angry at them for not being angrier, or not being as angry as they are, or not being as active, like out on a street, as they are, or not giving as much money as they do, or not. They want everyone to be at their level, and if they're not, even if they're still part of the solution, if they're not meeting them at that level, they are seen as and called out as part of the problem, because they're not meeting them where they want to be met. And that's the shittiest part about pockets of this movement. And I say pockets because it's a small portion of the movement, but because of social media, it gets way more fucking traction. That is what I'm seeing here in regards to this tweet, because I don't personally think it's poorly worded. I think if anything, it's poorly timed, because that's how people are seeing it.
I'm with you. I think it's poorly timed. And actually, I was seeing what people's reaction were, and a guy actually tweeted out, I think brilliantly, to him. He said, "Come back in 75 years when hashtag Black Lives Matter has finally accomplished equality for minorities. Until then, we must ensure that hashtag White Lives Better is brought to an abrupt end. The nation was founded on equality of opportunity and justice. We have neither." So I think that might be a little bit more of a of the timing on what he's saying is off. But I see what he's trying to say. Listen, just because it is Black Lives Matter, it doesn't mean that we should then think as though we should get away with more. We should be treated differently than a Caucasian or
that's what he's saying, right?
Yeah. It should be equal. If we're fighting for equality, then we need to, as a black guy, we need to be equal, and we need to see it as equal, and not, get out of pocket. We should all be the same, because that's what we're fighting for.
Yes.
I think ultimately that's what Black Lives Matter is it's yeah, we're hurting. We are treated differently, and we just want to be treated the same. We don't want to be treated better. We don't want to be felt sorry for. We don't want a special treatment. We just want to be treated as equal. And when we get to that place where we're not there, we're just not there. And it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to be next year. It probably won't be in the next decade or this generation. But eventually, when we do get there, in hopes that we do, we need to be happy with that. We can't go hey, for all those years that we treated like shit, I demand to be treated, better. And I, how dare you do this? We can't pull that race card. We can't go, yo, is it because I'm black? You know what I mean? Like we can't, we don't have that anymore. We can't do that shit. So I'm with him, and I'm with you. I think it's just poorly timed. And
it's timing more than anything, because it's the timing that's making people see it in a misconstrued light.
Yeah.
More than anything, because if anyone actually looks at Terry Crews's tweet and thinks to themselves that Terry Crews is accusing people currently of trying to turn the tables and turn this whole thing into a Black Lives Matter and abuse the system, you're fucking crazy. I'm sorry. That's not what he's saying. You need to learn reading comprehension if that's where you're at with that.
Want to poke holes and tear down the movement. You know what I mean? Like there are people that don't want this to be a thing.
Focus your attention on people that are actually being detrimental to the movement. Don't call out somebody from your own community who is simply having some fucking forethought about it. And he's not wrong. This shit fucking happens. And I promise you, because of how heated this movement is right now, there are people that have that exact ideology. But people read that, and because it's attached to the Black Lives Matter movement as well, and if they're black personally, they feel like that Terry is talking to them.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things social media does not convey well at all, is enough context. People just feel fucking personally attacked. That's not what he's doing at all. Like, it's just crazy. Anyway, Terry Crews, America's Got Talent. Go watch him be shirtless. He finds a way to be shirtless as often as humanly possible. Disney is rumored to be retconning the sequel trilogy in favor of making it an alternate timeline via an Emperor story loophole and start this bad boy over again.
No. I don't want to go through it again. Let it die. You fucked up the trilogy. You fucked up a lot of people's childhoods. What are you going to do? You going to call up Mark Hamill? You going to call up Harrison Ford? And you going to try and retcon their storylines? Harrison Ford's going to say, hey, go fuck yourself. I'm done. Mark Hamill, he probably would do it because he's probably so distraught about where his character has gone and his legacy of work, although it's not his fault. He might be up for it. But that shit is done. That horse has rode off in the sunset and died.
I don't even know how you do that and have it not be awkward for people. Because like, even if you can come up with a good story reason,
bro, it's not happening.
You're not getting Leia back. You're not getting Luke back. Han's not coming back.
It's done.
Like, what's the,
it's done. It's done. It's done.
But at the same time, if it upsets Kathleen Kennedy, I want it to happen just because it upsets Kathleen Kennedy. The writer of John Wick, Jeff, and the director of Deadpool 2 are working on a TV adaptation of My Friend Pedro. I don't know if you remember that video game. We watched it a long time ago. This is the E3 presentation. It's an action game. I gave you a little link there. You can see, you can watch and listen to that, and you can see what it's all about. And then knowing that the John Wick writer and the director of Deadpool 2 are working on a TV adaptation of it, I'm 100% on board. 100% on board.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in.
I actually wouldn't even need to necessarily know any other part of the project except for the fact that the writer of John Wick and the director of Deadpool 2 were working on something together, and I would have already been able to tell you that I'm in. Add to the fact that it's going to be like a meme like My Friend Pedro. Oh! Triple in. And lastly, Amazon and Bethesda are working on with Kilter Films to produce a Fallout 4 series of some kind. We don't know more than that. They just announced it, in a teaser trailer. It was one of those announcing an announcement type deals. And yeah, they're working on that. Bethesda wants to bring Fallout to the small screen, and Amazon is on board doing it. I have no idea if Kilter Films has done anything else that I know of in the past. I didn't look into that. But Amazon has made some pretty good series. They have a couple. I can't name them off the top of my head, but I know they have a couple. But if I'm going to continue to be my usual cynical self, Bethesda has not exactly done particularly well with the Fallout franchise for a hot minute, and I would be shocked if they didn't find a way to catastrophically bugger up a series about Fallout.
Mm.
And that's all I got, Jeff. You know what time it is now?
Tech support.
Tech support, patreon.com/lagtv. We're going to answer a couple of questions this week because
Lengthy one.
this is a lengthy podcast, and I am hungry as a motherfucker. So some of you are going to have to save those questions, send them in again next week. $10 or more on patreon.com/lagtv. You can ask questions, post up every time before the podcast. You can post your questions there. We get around to answering as many as we can, which today will not be very many. Let's see. Mark Furry asks, what's the last meme that made you actually laugh? Not just chuckle, but laugh.
One that made me laugh.
I don't know if there's like an actual like traditional meme necessarily that made me laugh outright in a long time. The last one that really had me crying was Jazz Music Stops Guy. Used at the right time always makes me fucking laugh. There was a video I tweeted out the other night where it was a guy in a gym doing, I think he was doing like pull-ups or some shit. And he was doing it like assisted pull-ups with like an exercise band underneath his feet. And he's doing these pull-ups and the exercise band slips and it fucking snaps at Mach 4 right into his dick and balls.
Mm.
And he screams like a schoolgirl, like full on just high-pitched scream. And then that scream cuts directly into James Brown going, "Oh, I feel good." And it's,
I saw that. I watched that like 4 or 5 times, and the guy has the thing, and the elastic band goes straight on the walls, and the guy's like, "Ow, I feel good." Yes. I actually saw that like yesterday.
That made me I saw that like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Did you tweet that? Was it you that tweeted
I tweeted it, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I saw. That's funny as shit.
Dude, that fucking killed me. I was laughing out loud by myself 3 o'clock in the morning. I couldn't stop. I just thought, it's perfect.
Yeah,
it's fucking perfect.
I actually laughed out loud at that too. So that was the last one that I laughed at.
Yeah, it was good. Oh, here we go. Oh, we're continuing the wiping saga, Jeff. Brennan asks, since we now know your wiping preferences, are you guys waistband or fly when taking a piss? Balls in or balls out? He said, I'm a sitter for wipes, fly with balls in.
Oh, I'm balls out. Everything's coming out.
Yeah, so I'm waistband, dick and balls are out.
Yeah, dick and balls are definitely out, bro.
Yeah.
Dick and balls are definitely out. Come on, man.
It's kind of difficult to like navigate just getting the dick without partially pulling the balls with it.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of a challenge.
I'd be scared just having the wang out and say like you had jeans on. And then
you're asking for trouble.
You know, I feel like if it's just the cock out and I'm zipping it up, I'm going to make a mistake. If the cock and balls are out, you can't make that mistake. You know your cock and balls are hanging out. You can just literally feel the air, like just the room air on your cock and balls. So you're more likely to tuck that shit in, you know, just bring her down, flop all that shit back in. Now you're in there.
Yep.
If it's just the cock out there, like mistakes can happen. Hell no. Hell no.
8910 asks, what would you consider the top 3 sitcoms of all time to be? I don't know if I've watched enough sitcoms to know the top 3 sitcoms of all time.
I don't. I would say
Friends. If you don't have Friends in the list, whether you like it or not, Friends is on that fucking list.
I don't have Friends on my list.
All right.
Sitcom, I would go number 1, Fresh Prince. Number 2, The 70s Show. And number 3 would be Family Matters.
All right.
Bing, bang, boom.
I don't even like it that much, but if I don't put Friends in the list, I feel like I'm just missing the point entirely. So I'm going to go Friends. I'm going to say Friends, Arrested Development, the first
Big Bang Theory.
before the comeback of Arrested Development, which wasn't as good, but the original. So Friends, Arrested Development, and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Oh, Fresh Prince is number 1.
Oh, that was in no particular order.
Yeah.
That was just 3. That was just 3. No
Fresh
particular.
Prince is fire. You know what else is a really good show that I haven't watched all of it, and I probably only watched like 2 seasons, but I love it every time I watch it? Modern Family. That show is fucking funny, dude. That's like a really funny, relatable show that I have to like sit down and binge one day.
I mean, there's a lot of good sitcoms. Like I love, like Everyone Loves Raymond. I fucking love that show.
Dude, that 70s show it's right up there, bro. It's like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and that 70s show is like right there. I love that 70s show.
That 70s show is fucking fire.
It's so fucking good.
It's unfortunate that what's his name had to turn out to be a creepy motherfucker.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
That's highly unfortunate.
It's a good show, though.
It is a very good show. Cryptic with the follow-up. What's the stupidest way you've hurt your balls? We all know mine. I ran into the back of a parked car and fucked myself up real good. That's about as dumb as it gets, so that's mine. Oh man, The Office, Frasier. There's a lot of good. I like how I said that I don't know if I've watched enough, and then I'm realizing now that like as people are listing them, just how many good sitcoms there are.
I don't know. The most pain I was ever in for my balls was when I had blue balls. I've only ever had true blue balls once in my life. I've had a couple of times where it's like they're a little sore, but there was like one time in particular was just immense pain. Like I was like, whoa, because before I was like, oh yeah, I've had blue balls before, they hurt. This was blue balls. This was the thing that people were like, oh my God. That's probably the most pain my nuts have ever been. I mean, I've hit them a few times. Like I've hit them on bikes, like doing ramps and stuff and like hitting the handlebars, or there was a couple of times where when I was younger, our boys used to do like bag tag, and you'd like fucking, you'd flick. And I remember one time a buddy of mine like got me just at the right, like the right
very
angle,
tip,
right flick. Yep, and it just fucking hit my right nut, and man, it went right through my stomach. It was fucking brutal.
Dude, I watched in junior high somebody, I can't remember who it was, turned Brian Smitty upside down. One guy held one leg, one guy held the other, and then one of the other boys came over and literally hammer fisted him in the fucking dick and balls from an upside down split in the cafeteria, and he projectile vomited. Remember when they were selling those Looney Tunes flavored milks?
Yeah,
banana milk, just instantly projectile vomit all over the place. Guys are weird to each other when they're growing up. Like, just be like, who the fuck comes up with that? Let's turn this guy upside down and hammer fist him in the cock and balls. Why you gotta do a man like that?
Boys will be boys.
My God. Loose Caboose, Adam, for those not on your stream, give us a taste of your Monopoly 101 course. All right, the really short version of Monopoly 101 is that pink, orange, and red are the only properties on the board that really matter in the late game if you can lock them up with a decent amount of time. If you can't, your object is to then make sure nobody else can get a monopoly with those, if possible, for as an extended period of time as you can while you try and lock up some of the shittier properties on the board. If you can do that, you give yourself a pretty decent chance. That is the bare minimum entry-level Monopoly game that anyone should know. There's a lot more that goes on there to make that strategy happen, better and worse ways, but that's the show. Last one. And the rest of you guys, I would just, put in your questions again next week. If Zen Media asks if you'd be able to change one thing about the Marvel creative universe, what would you do? If you could change one thing in the MCU.
Good question. If I could change one thing in the MCU. Man, I would make it so that Deadpool and Blade would be in a movie together.
Yes.
That's where I'm at.
Yes.
Because the MCU and the way it is, I actually think they did almost a flawless job. Like, in terms of the final product, was it perfect the whole way through? No. But, I mean, could we have really made it better? I mean, geez, they really fucking stuck the landing. Like, to the point where I think they stuck it too well, to the point where I feel like people are honestly, like, over it now.
Yeah.
Like, people are like, dude, I have had my fix. This was just so fulfilling. It was emotional. It was everything I ever wanted. And some to a lot of people. There were some people that, wasn't a huge fan, but the vast majority, like, it's to the point where I feel like I've completed this journey and I'm like ready to just never go back there. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, it was that good. And that's a very big compliment you can give somebody. It's probably not the one that they want to hear, but at this point, I want to just see something different in terms of more of the rated R hardcore. If you're going to bring Blade back, which I know they're planning on doing it, bring him into the side with Deadpool and just make them go all out. Don't bring Blade in and make it PG with all these other characters. I want to see those two guys get together, do a lot of swearing, do a lot of killing, and just have fucking wild rated R fun. That
was my thing, is I just want more rated R Marvel for the characters that need rated R. They've done a good job of, like, navigating that space, even if they'd involved heroes that would normally be way more graphic or way more violent, to make it work and still be good and accessible for younger audiences, etc., etc. But when Deadpool came out and smashed it, and when the Wolverine movie did so well, Logan, thankfully that opened it up to do more of that stuff. And I just want more of that. Obviously, Blade would be in that category. I think they're already, like Korean guy was saying, I think we've talked about it in the past, that is in the works, a Blade return.
I just don't know if he's going to mix with Deadpool.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if their paths are going to cross, but I hope so.
Yeah, that would be my thing as well. That'd be my thing as well.
Fucking pumped.
Yes, absolutely. So we'll hope for the best. And that's where we're going to end it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's now Technical Alpha Podcast. This has been another lengthy one. We're back to back on the 3-hour podcasts.
Oof.
It's time to go and have some dinner. Time for me to go and render this. Heads up for those who might catch the rest of this on YouTube later. As soon as a video passes the 3-hour mark on YouTube, the processing time like quadruples. It's like they have an internal check that goes, oh, this is really long. And then it gets put into a bottom of the queue and it gets sent to the Shadow Realm. So it's going to take a while, but it will be up. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, once again for listening. As always, whether it's live or on the RSS feeds or anywhere else, hit the like button if you can and comment on YouTube if you have the time. Spread the word about Technical Alpha if you like this podcast, you want to see it continue and grow, and patreon.com/ Lag TV. If you are interested in financially supporting us directly, it goes a very long way. That's it for this week. We will see you guys next time. Thank you so much once again, and until we do see you, stay safe out there. It's a crazy friggin' world. Peace!
Peace.